Lino Claw!
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 18th of June 2016. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today Zachary Burgess.
In the same room.
And Robert Kemp.
Yeah!
It's time for...
He still didn't manage to sit down in time.
I went to nudge the door.
Unnecessarily. There's no one else in the house now.
Yes, there still is.
Okay.
The door is nudged and it is time for...
Didn't actually close it though, so
No,
still irrelevant.
So it allows me to wave at people as they leave.
Not even going to see you through that crack.
There's enough of a crack. It's like a foot crack.
It's a whole foot crack. A whole foot crack. It's time for our E3 special.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah. Check it out.
There's so much note.
It is time for the note.
But before we did that...
Ironic, given the software you're using is OneNote.
OneNote.
The note.
Oh, well, I said I had so much note.
Yeah. It's all contained within one note.
It's all the
just
one
one
note.
really big long one.
It's just a really big singular note.
The OneNote.
Before we do
C sharp.
that... No.
That's my note.
No.
Why C sharp?
I don't know, it's the first note I could think of.
Oh, why that is?
Like A,
You thought
for example.
C sharp isn't a real note, is it? Even?
I mean, it can be. Or do you call it C sharp or D flat?
Oh, well, that's the problem.
No, I'm just saying. Oh,
It totally, it totally exists.
B and C are next to each other, aren't they? Right? There is no.
There's no C flat or
that's
B
right.
sharp.
That's right.
You get a B flat,
That's right. There's a B flat.
which most people call it. I've never quite understood what are the rules between like defining something as the sharp of one note or the flat of the one next to it.
I don't think there is a rule.
There are
I
any,
think you
or-
can. I think they're interchangeable.
Maybe it's helpful if you're going, like, up a scale or down a scale, like the direction you're actually playing.
Yeah.
Maybe it helps to say which note in the direction your fingers are already going or whatever.
Maybe.
But isn't it confusing having two names for the same thing? Oh, that doesn't stop them.
maybe it depends. Like if you've got like one of those signatures on the left where you have to put all the crazy sharps and flat signs on, to indicate the whole stave.
Mm-hmm.
On that note is flat or sharp. Like maybe it's just like save space that they don't stack them up, or not that you could. I guess otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. I don't know.
I saw some pretty cool software for this Microsoft Surface with the pen thing for writing musical notation.
Oh, cool.
And it had, you drew with the pen and then it converted it instantly into the real
Nice.
nice looking notes and stuff. That's pretty cool. So I don't know how long until, because the people behind that software were like, well, we tried to do it with an iPad, but it was so shit that it was like a toy and it wasn't really worth it. So we're waiting for the pen to come around on the Surface. But now Apple have the pencil, so maybe they'll
Maybe they'll move it across.
Yeah, maybe they can. And the Pro iPad, which is bigger, I guess.
Yeah.
But maybe. But even so, it's pretty cool.
I guess, were they trying to use like those crayon things before? Like that try and simulate your finger but aren't really your finger?
They're just too shitty, aren't they?
Yeah.
You need a bit more...
You need the fidelity.
yeah, fidelity.
Yeah, interesting. We better get on with this. There's a lot of E3.
Well, there's still something I want to talk about first, though.
Oh, we've got a house grouse.
Well, technically, no.
House grouse.
It's not a house grouse.
Or hermbone.
No, or I'm voted. Not any of those things.
Kitchen pigeon.
No. It was just a very short little bit of game stuff that happened this week. To me, specifically.
Okay.
Go.
So I played some more Mirror's Edge and it's fine. The open world stuff is actually okay. It's like...
Now that you've investigated
Yeah,
this
now that I've
segment.
actually done the non-story stuff, well, not all of it, obviously, but I've played some of the non-story stuff. There's two main problems with the non-story stuff, though. They have time trials, which are literal time trials, and they're rated on a 3-star scale.
Okay.
And then they have, like, deliveries, which are essentially time trials, except it's just, like, 1 point, and you don't get a rating.
Okay.
But the trouble with the time trials is that, like, they turn off runner vision, so it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't show you where to go, like, directly. It puts, like, these giant arrows in the world where it's like, the point you're trying to get to is over this way.
Oh, okay. Well,
Except-
like sort of on the checkpoints, or...
No, because there aren't checkpoints either, even in
Okay.
the time trials. There's only just, like, the start and the finish.
Right.
But the thing is that, like, they have these giant arrows that show you a route to get to where you try to go. Except that route is inevitably incredibly roundabout and pointless. And then, so the actual trick of the time trials is like...
Ignore the arrows.
Well, it's like figure out the one trick that lets you basically bypass the entire thing and get straight to the end. Like, there's one where I did it where it's like, okay, I'll follow the arrow so I can find out where the fuck the end is. That takes 40 seconds. And then the actual 3-star way to do it takes 10 seconds. Because you just go whoop straight there.
That's a shit.
And it's like, that's not particularly great design.
Well, I don't know, or is that? Because is that sort of puzzling in some
It's
way?
puzzling, but it's like a single thing where you just have to find this one thing. Like, there was another one where it's just like, I kept trying to get there using this route. I was like, I can't get there quick enough. Oh wait, there's just a grapple point that I keep running past. And because I don't run close enough to the grapple point for the icon to appear, I didn't realise where it was.
Oh, I see.
I reckon what I'd want, having not played it at all, is like some kind of like kudos trial rather than... Yeah,
exactly. You want to be doing cool shit.
That's a good idea.
See, it's obvious to me that parkour is about coolness, not about getting from place to place at maximum speed.
I mean, they can still make... I think they maybe should have done checkpointed time trials. I mean, users can create checkpointed time trials.
Right.
As user-created content. But it's like, that's a traditionally, like, lazy way of... It's just like, just let the users make the good stuff. Because we can't be bothered.
I guess when they're thinking about like doing kudo challenge, would they be worried about someone finding an exploit and just like backflipping off a wall 20 times and then doing their
I don't think they're that worried about exploits when the first time, literally on launch day, the first time trial, well, I guess Europe launch day, but the first time trial I looked at, the fastest time was 1 second.
Great.
Surprise!
Broken.
Someone's already hacked it.
Yeah. Found a wall hack or whatever and just gone, yoink.
Yeah, they should have, focus on the style, have an awesome replay editor a la Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh yeah, but the problem is that you don't see your
that's
third
true.
person.
And they probably didn't even do the animations, did
Well,
they?
you have a shadow, and it definitely follows the moves. You can see it sometimes when you're running in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, you could replay, like, from first person, that'd still be good to watch, I guess, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe not.
And then the other trouble with the non-time trial timed things, like the delivery missions, is I feel like in those they probably should have been a bit more lenient with the time limit. Because, like, there's been several of them where I've finished with literally 0 seconds on the clock. And it's like, that's not... And because those ones even have the runner vision on, so they're showing you the route. And it's like, that's...
Surely those are kind of cool in a way, because it's like, kind of fine.
Yeah, but that's not... It's not fun to run a 3-minute route and then miss it by 2 seconds and have to do the whole thing again.
See,
maybe, yeah.
the thing about that replay is, like, since the original Mirror's Edge came out, that's actually become a thing, because now you can have parkour people with GoPros on their heads and you see those videos, whereas before the cameras didn't do that. It wouldn't have been possible.
Sure, I guess.
So, yeah.
And then the other thing that I want to talk about really quickly before E3 is, on Monday, the next patch for Rocket League happens.
Ah, right, yeah.
The season resets. We're into season 3. Lose all your rankings, start over.
Sweet.
That's probably good.
It's probably good, yeah.
What's interesting about it is they're putting in a new level, except it's not really a new level. It's not actually a new level, they're taking one of the Rocket Labs level and then just giving it actual graphics.
Oh, okay, right.
And upgrading it to being an actual level.
But is that making it into the main... Presumably not into the main playlist.
Well, that's the interesting thing about it, that I'm wondering what they're going to do, because it wouldn't make sense... Well, the, video of it says out of Rocket Labs in a way that suggests that it's not going to be in Rocket Labs any longer, because, I mean, it wouldn't fit with the aesthetic of Rocket Labs if they're making an actual level now.
I guess, yeah.
So, if it does come out of Rocket Labs into the normal playlists, the important question is what they're going to do about ranked. Because this is their opportunity to either get Wasteland out of ranked, or put this one in ranked and say, fuck all the people who don't like Wasteland being non-standard because we're going to have non-standard in ranked. They have to do one of those two things.
Or they have two separate playlists.
Well, sure.
Like, yeah, you have your
They
standard
can
ranked
extend the
and
playlist
standard
thing
ranked
even more.
And you're all ranked, yeah.
But it's their opportunity to do it. They can't... they can't choose option 3 and leave Wasteland in and not put this one in. Because that's not a choice. That's
I bet they would.
Yeah, but you can't... You have to make a decision at this point.
How non-standard is the map?
It's the one with the ledges along the edge.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not as awkward as some of the other lab levels.
Sure. It's slightly worse than Wasteland in terms of weirdness.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They better do something. They can't choose the no choice option.
No, I don't think I want to see that go to ranked.
No.
I don't. I didn't really want to see Wasteland go to ranked.
So, they should take Wasteland out.
Yeah.
This will be their opportunity to do it. We'll see.
All right.
Update next time.
News to look forward to.
Yep. So now E3.
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 Now, for those of you listeners who are unaware, E3 is some big trade show, right?
It's a press-only trade show.
It's for a particular industry.
The video gaming industry.
Yeah, and
The electronics industry.
The one that
This podcast is about this industry. Yeah, so it dovetails quite nicely, really. So
How convenient.
How convenient.
It's not about video games, it's about electronic entertainment.
Yes.
Whatever that means, specifically.
Perhaps
and
we should...
exposing that electronic entertainment.
To people.
Exposition. That's not what is it? Exposition? No.
It's not exposition.
No, it's not.
No, now we're trying to work out what the fuck
Exhibition.
Yeah, exhibition.
But it's not.
It's like expo.
It's expo.
But they just decide to shorten it wrong.
Expo is exhib. Oh no, is it though?
Is it though? No, we don't even know what it stands for.
What does Expo stand for?
Let's find out.
Export.
It's got to be exhibition, isn't it? But just badly.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Expo may refer to exhibition, short for exposition. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh, it's Expo. No, are they two different definitions there? No, that's...
Let's look in Wiktionary.
Exhibition... Oh, when?
No, that's the wrong one. Let's try the other
We'll
one.
never know. I don't think. It seems like it could mean anything.
Expo, noun. An exposition.
Or an expediter.
What's an exposition? Exposition. The action of putting something out to public view, for example, in a display or show.
Okay.
But that's a little
Related term, exhibition. There you go.
But that's a little different from narrative exposition, surely.
Yes, it is. That would be the action of...
Exposing something to something? No.
Writing, an essay or speech in which any topic is discussed in detail, an opening section in fiction by which background information is conveyed. Yes.
So exposition has multiple meanings, as it turns out, and exposition. One of the meanings of exposition is the same as exhibition.
Well, it doesn't say. It doesn't say synonymous. It says related terms. Okay, I think it's about the same. Anyway,
so it is expo.
So I wasn't wrong. It is exposition.
They are exposing it.
Anyway, maybe we should change our podcast's mantra to be this is a podcast about electronic entertainment.
Well, it depends what,
We don't do detailed film reviews. Was that electronic entertainment?
I guess it technically is now, yeah.
But they don't show it at E3.
Maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
We'd have to start doing mobile games.
Well, no, electronic entertainment suggests, robots or something.
Robots?
Not games, but, literal physical robots.
I guess.
They're electronic and they're entertaining, I guess.
True.
What about vaping? You need an electronic device to vape.
I don't know if that's entertaining.
It's not entertaining. It's enjoyable, but it's not. That's like alcohol.
Depends what you're vaping.
Like alcohol isn't entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
No,
it's not.
It entertains my taste buds.
That's not.
I'm not going to entertain that notion.
No.
Right, let's move on. Right, press conferences from the major players in this particular industry, starting with
EA.
We're starting with, here's the overall theme of E3. Prepare for this to turn up constantly. Year of the grappling hook.
It is year of the grappling hook.
Every game pretty much has grappling hooks now.
Mirror's Edge
Mirror's Edge and Uncharted were ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Somebody played Batman Arkham Asylum or Metroid or something, I don't know, and went it's
grappling
time.
hooks, yeah. They're onto something with these things. So
and suddenly everyone decided to get on board.
I mean,
It's time for the hook shot.
I guess Year of the Bow is long over.
Well, yeah. That was a year.
Yep.
Was that 2 years ago? I guess it was.
2 years ago now, yeah.
Year of the Bow.
Last year didn't really have a year. It was another year of Luigi.
I guess we still have bows in Horizon and...
I mean, was it Year of the Bow
Still
because
well.
even Crysis had a bow, right?
Crysis had a bow,
that's
yeah.
what made it Year of the Bow. Okay.
Yeah. Because that was the year that the first Tomb Raider game,
Yep.
I think, was revealed as well, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. Year of the Bow. So, quite a lot of the EA Play conference leaked early, which is the first hilarious thing.
Well, it was
because they accidentally live streamed their dress rehearsal, where some guy was just reading the script and making sure that the trailers all came in on time and stuff like that. So a lot of the trailers got out there before they were supposed to.
But somehow it was like the middle of the conference.
Yeah. It's quite a hilarious cock-up, though, isn't it? Let's just live stream the rehearsal for some reason. But anyway, was it the Titanfall guy who came up during the show did quip about that, at least? Or someone did. You've seen this already, but...
Well, no, I don't think...
Play along.
I don't know if that was even just reserved for EA. It's like pretty much all the conferences were like, oh, you already knew this was coming, because apparently everyone already knew lots of stuff that was already happening.
Got out. Anyway, so, onto the stage after an awkward demonstration that basically just made me think of Reggie Fils-Aimé saying, play the game.
Okay.
They were going on about EA Play, and make sure you play stuff, and play is important.
Yep.
Out comes Smarmbot 2000.
RoboSmile.
RoboSmile. Man, he's the most charmless man in the industry, I think. He looks a little bit like... Yeah, you know, like when you get the sort of like a waxwork or those sort of plasticky looking figures that try and replicate the feeling of the 50s. You know, like a dude with a quip and like shiny face. He's that guy. He lives.
Yeah,
like a car dealer.
A car dealer. He comes on stage.
He's Swiss Tony.
Yeah, clearly. Not quite, right?
But without the making love to a beautiful woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Educated the expensive way. Knows his claret from his Beaujolais. I think he'd like to have been Ronnie Gray, but nature didn't make him that way.
What on earth is that for?
Charmless Man by Blur. Sorry. Anyway,
Anyway, yes. So, Smarmy McSmarmface was doing stuff in LA. Simultaneously, in London, Peter Moore's hanging out.
With a crowd that is much more enthusiastic than the LA crowd, hilariously. It got pretty funny later on where they occasionally showed shots of the crowd, and there was one distinct time where they showed a shot of the LA crowd, everyone looked bored, and then they cut away quickly to the London crowd where everyone was much more enthusiastic.
Peter Moore's here! Woo!
Well, here's the thing to remember. This isn't technically E3. EA were doing their own event.
Yeah.
And
why are we covering it?
Yeah,
who cares?
Why are we covering it? This is like the Nintendo Direct of E3.
Okay, fine. Right.
It's E3. So they continued to do their we're going to tell you what we're going to do before we show it approach.
Not quite as badly as they did last time.
But still pretty badly.
Well,
so like they EA do their thing where they like to talk about the game for about 15 minutes before they actually just show you the thing you're there to see, which is either the gameplay or the trailer. And it's like and it's so dull because they do talk about their games for a long time before they show anything. So, with the possible exception of how they opened. I mean, after all the play to live, live to play garbage that Smarmy McSmarmface went on about, they just opened with Titanfall 2. Which, it's a good place to start, because that game looks tight.
Yeah, but isn't that like too good a place to start? It's like
yes, as it turns out,
they waste it.
Yes, it's a good starter, but I'm not sure they really had much else that lifted the rest of the show.
Oh well, let's talk about Titanfall.
Titanfall 2 looks sweet.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, visually, it looks like it's hasn't had much of an upgrade. But
what are they doing to fix the fact that Titanfall looked sweet and they never played it for 2 weeks?
We don't.
No, we don't actually know.
I mean, they did sound like the presentation the guy from Respawn did. Basically said we're like when he said and a deep progression system, you could hear the crowd sort of go yes.
Oh yeah,
because that was basically what Titanfall was lacking.
Yeah,
add levels
and content. Yeah, but the progression was necessary.
Yes,
and I mean
there needed to be a reason to pull you back in the same way that COD makes you level everything. It pulls you back.
How did they? I mean, I guess they didn't have much time or whatever. But surely, if anyone would know that how important that was, it would be the guys who made COD.
Yeah. Who kind of invented all these systems,
yeah, invented all this stuff. Like, you'd think it'd be the first thing they put in.
The thing is, if you look at Modern Warfare... Well, the first one, Modern Warfare.
4. Yeah,
COD 4. Like, the stuff that they had in that... Yes, they had a lot of guns. They had a lot of... And as you went through your levelling, you were unlocking stuff for a long time. Admittedly, they didn't have the depth that like the modern Call of Duties have now, so you didn't really necessarily level up your guns and your equipment in the same way that you do now. I think you might have unlocked attachments for guns that you used a lot. I can't really remember, but there was more to it than what Titanfall had, and that was a problem.
Yep.
Even though Titanfall seemed to have the systems in place by which they could achieve that, there just wasn't very much in them. Again, they haven't really told us what he means by that, so this is all, again, speculation at this point, but
do you think they just...
The fact that they called out is reassuring, right? The fact that they just mentioned it is be like, yeah, okay, we're acknowledging that this might have been a problem.
Do you think they had to put out Titanfall in order to make Titanfall 2 as a studio?
Yeah, EA probably would.
Maybe they knew all of this stuff and they knew it wouldn't be...
I bet EA pressured them to meet a date, right? There was in between a Battlefield or something, and they just needed something to come out.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the spot, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
But didn't it launch at a weird time of year, like a March or something?
Yeah, it was quite early.
Yeah. It hit that sort of Easter zone. Which is an odd space, but is often where it's where Plants vs Zombie has tended to release. Actually, I think didn't Titanfall and the first Plants vs Zombie come out in the same month that year?
Yeah, maybe.
Which that's obviously their experimentation time.
Obviously.
Although Garden Warfare 2, came out this year in that zone as well. So. I don't know, it's got some chops. There's a campaign mode that looks like it might be cool. There's, grappling hooks, which you can grapple onto people with, which seems cool.
And
I don't know if it seems that cool. It
could be real fun. It could be like road hogging in Overwatch.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's fun.
Depends on the hitbox.
Yeah, I guess it does. Because the pilots are so small, I mean, if you get that must be quite hard.
I mean, you already had rodeoing of Titans, now you can...
Well, that's one thing I don't want about the grappling hook, though. It's like, you can just grapple onto a Titan to rodeo. It's like, I don't need easier ways for people to fucking get on my Titan.
It looked like there may be, a sidearm, that Titans have a sidearm as well as their main gun.
Sure, but that doesn't help when someone's climbing on you. Unless it does. Unless you equip fucking electro smoke. Yeah. Every time, always electro smoke.
It's the best.
Yeah, but it was only the best because it solved the rodeo problem, and it was the only way to solve the rodeo problem.
Well, apart from jump, always jump, if you don't have it, just jump out immediately and shoot the guy.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I think there's some new, multi-step process to the rodeoing to make it harder.
I hear that what you do is, when you jump on and start the rodeo, the first part, when you you open the hatch or whatever, and it just kicks you off, it ejects the whatever is attached to the hatch and kicks you off.
Oh, so you've got to rodeo it several times.
But you can take that battery and use it to power up a friendly Titan.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So instead of destroying a Titan, you can just rip that thing off and jump away, or you can re-grapple and come back to finish it.
That's a neat idea. I like that.
Sounds sensible. Multi-stage, make it harder.
Well, because one of the things they mentioned...
makes it that much harder, though.
I suppose.
Well, one of the things they mentioned before all of this was that they wanted to make the Titans feel more powerful. Because I guess the original Titanfall had that weird...
They're constantly in Titanfall.
But the gameplay had that weird flow where... to a point, people sort of just wanted to play pilot mode, right? They were clamoring for that pilot-only mode because the balance between Titans and pilots didn't feel right. Or, who knows, maybe people just want to play COD, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I bought this Titanfall thing, can't I play COD? I don't know. Something, obviously, the balance didn't feel necessarily excited people right, I don't think. And that's why they were asking for modes like that. And why...
I think my limited experience with it would have made more sense to me if there was, if Titans were rarer and more powerful, rather than constant.
Maybe.
I don't think they needed to be more powerful, they just sort of needed to have more health.
They weren't very survivable.
More ways to deal with certain things. There were certain things that were not as easy to deal with when you were in a Titan.
Dealing with rodeoing when you didn't have the electro smoke wasn't much fun.
Well, there's nothing you could do, really, apart from have someone else punch them. You could never coordinate that.
Yeah, or you jump out and then try and satchel charge them, but when you got to the higher levels, people would, satchel charge the Titan first, then rodeo it, then wait for you to get out to deal with it and just blow you up immediately.
Yep.
It became kind of difficult for you to predict and deal with. Yeah.
Well, it's not difficult to predict. It was exactly the same thing every time. Well, that was the problem. There was one way to deal with rodeo, and that was electro smoke.
Yeah. Which is why I'm kind of happy that they might be changing that. Mix that up. It was
presumably
simultaneously.
If they do have more equipment, that will help solve the problem because there'll be more options. But
Yeah.
maybe it will still be like at a certain point it'll just be like radio. One thing will be a problem, so you'll always have to equip one of the counters.
It was simultaneously one of the coolest concepts and most irritating things about playing that game.
Yeah.
So it's.
But it's like it was like you would have thought. In reality, there'd be several ways to solve that problem. Like you're in a giant fucking robot, just like. Lean up against the building and crush him. That's actually a really easy thing to do.
I guess you don't necessarily know where he is because you can't see him. Right,
He's where the giant hatch is.
Well,
wherever that is on your Titan.
Yeah.
And as we said at the time, probably it's like just reach over there and grab him.
Maybe
you've got arms. You're a fucking robot.
Or maybe you have like a single use, like you say, explosive charge there or something that can just push them off.
That's in reality, that's like...
Which is basically what they've done with the new one, I guess. The new system does that itself.
I mean, like, in reality, the actual solution to that is design a better Titan that doesn't have a really easily accessible hatch that anyone can just jump on and pull off at any time.
Yes.
But they all need access hatch.
Lock them up when you're in combat, for God's sake.
It's just a game, though, man.
Yes,
you have to have
that's true.
stupid stuff.
I mean, they could have just had it so that the way to kill Titans with radio was like the satchel charge. Like, you don't have to open enemy, you just plant it on it and then jump away. And then there's like a timer or something.
And then what do you do if you're in the Titan?
Then
you don't know.
You have the equivalent of the electro smoke disables the bomb, or you can have someone else grab it and throw it away.
Right.
It's the equivalent of the pilot, it just makes more sense from a world perspective.
We didn't see too much sword action. There's that one clip in the campaign trailer.
Sure, but what are you going to show? It's a sword.
I want to know how the Titans interact with each other. Do they get into a sword fight?
Well, it looks like canned animation all around. Well, the finishing animation, of course. That's canned, obviously.
Of course.
I'm sure in actual combat it will just be wild, retarded swinging.
Yeah, probably. What do you think about the look of the campaign? It's like... It's equally sort of like cool and potentially generic.
Well, yeah.
I think their lore was disappointingly generic in the first one,
Yeah.
So I'm not too excited about the expansion of that.
Was it? But it's a man and his Titan story, a man and his giant robot dog.
Yeah.
The Titan seems to be the main character.
Your
guy doesn't speak.
Well, maybe.
Trailer, yeah.
Yeah. Will we see returning characters? Will we see...
Well, theoretically, this probably has to be a prequel, right? Or, take place at the same time as Titanfall 1? Because they basically ended the fight at the end of Titanfall 1.
Well, they didn't end the fight, they segregated the fight.
Yeah, they, fucked up the universe. It was basically like the Mass Effect fucking up the Stargates thing, where they screwed everything up so much, it's like, well, it's going to take a really fucking long time before we can get back to fighting, I guess.
They screwed up the fuel supply to get back,
yeah,
or something, so you could get to the outer rim, but you couldn't return. Or the equivalent of the outer rim, whatever they called it. Yeah, I hope that's good. I hope that gives that game some, at least introduction legs, because, their idea of the radio play campaign from the first one just kind of didn't work. It was an interesting idea, it just didn't. I mean, and the fact that it could, the result of the multiplayer game would change the course of what they were saying, but that was all that it changed the course of. It would be perhaps nicer if it changed the course of how the mission played, or something like that. It's like, oh, they've done this. Oh, now this is happening. Oh, that didn't happen the last time you did it. I don't know. There was a lot more they could have done with their multiplayer campaign idea, I guess. They just didn't. Presumably because they were working on their single player. I don't know. Well, I mean, not their single player. They're making the actual multiplayer okay.
Good, yeah.
Seeing that stuff did make me want to go play Titanfall, though, which I haven't, but...
Which you will for about 3 days.
Yeah, I might play it once, is probably what will happen. It's it's still installed on my PC, so I might fire it up and be like, yeah, this is cool. I'm going to go play some Overwatch.
Well, it'll be like, yeah, this is cool, but everyone here is incredibly high-leveled.
Yeah.
It just destroys me instantly.
Yeah.
That's not what actually happen.
I haven't installed Origin on my PC since I upgraded to Windows 10.
There's probably no need.
Might want to play Mass Effect 3 again.
Or Wing Commander. That free copy of Wing Commander. Anyway, moving
Free
on.
copy of Theme Hospital.
Ults with mechs. Like, the mechs might have ultimate abilities as well, it looked like. Because one of them just sort of opened his chest. It could be like a dying ability.
Yeah, it could just be like another version of the Overload.
Just the nuke, yeah. Anything to say about Madden 17, other than the fact that they hung on all that bloody esports crap for a long time? I mean, the actual Madden trailer looked alright, right? It looked like a Madden game, it visually looked good, the physics in that Madden game looked sweet, but...
Well, it's still the gradual progress that they always have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have no problems there. But then they went on to do like a 10-minute video about esports or whatever, and like, and here are the 8 people that are in the finals. Or for
it's because they're trying to promote their like esports back end, basically. Where they're trying to like.
Except they sort of didn't at that point, did they? They left all the esports stuff for later.
Basically,
yeah,
that's what they were trying to show.
Yeah. They did sort of get to that actually, in that part, but it was a bit clunky. They started talking about the fact that the EA are going to be running their own esports leagues in 3 tiers or something, like the regulars, the premieres, and the what do they call it? The EA events or something, the EA specials, or something. That spent way too long on that, way too long. To the point where my note here just says, "This keeps going." And we got to some fun stuff. Mass Effect Andromeda. We still haven't actually seen any game.
Don't know what it is.
Well, you see the Mako driving around, so that's probably part of the game.
I mean, the visuals that they did show with Frostbite powered, they made a big deal of that.
Everything's Frostbite powered. FIFA is Frostbite powered, isn't it?
Because why not? Frostbite's an awesome engine. Everything looks great.
True.
And from what we could see visually of Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, that would be a different game. No.
It looks good. The tech looks good, apart from Blue Lady Face.
Well, apart from all they showed was the same fucking old aliens again. God damn it! Move to an entire new galaxy, same racers, because we can't show any of the new ones.
They could be the ones that came with you.
Well, sure. I mean, if there's only like one of each, but then it's going to be, if they do come with you, that'll be like your crew members, and then they'll be part of your team, and they'll be like, I don't want these old guys.
They won't show that stuff till late in the game, because I bet actually a big portion of the game will be the discovery element. Like, I kind of wish they don't show us.
You want it to be like Star Trek or something?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it could be.
But, at some point, it will just be like going places and shooting things.
Oh god, the Rachni are here.
Probably.
Yeah.
That'll probably happen. There'll probably be some kind of, like, or the Geth or something where we like, because they can travel through deep space.
Yeah, sure.
But the entire Rachni storyline will only be there if you save the Rachni Queen in the first game.
No, because they will discover where they actually came from.
Right, okay.
It's like that. They had another mass gate that went to the other galaxy behind the original mass gate.
Just because there was one queen.
Yeah.
It's like ants. There's not just one queen.
Fine.
Many ant colonies.
And at the end of all of this, at some point, it's going to be Reapers again. Because that's the whole point of this. It's like we're trying to escape our galaxy because we're like, oh no, the Reapers coming to our galaxy. What if we go to this other galaxy? Oh no, probably the Reapers going to go there as well.
But didn't we end all the Reapers, theoretically?
Yeah, but not in this game's timeline, because this takes place before the end of Mass Effect 3, technically.
Oh, does it?
Well, because, or at least I guess they haven't specifically said that, but you assume so, because civilization isn't completely fucked.
Well, it could be like 100 years later or something.
Because I'm pretty sure they showed in a brief cut, they showed some kind of... Well, I'm pretty sure they showed the Citadel at some point.
Yeah, it looked like the Citadel.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think...
Or at least something like it.
And I think they maybe showed, some other kind of Mass Effect gate, presumably that launches you to Andromeda, I would guess. Because how else are you going to get there?
Well, because the Citadel was the biggest mass gate, right?
Sure, but it goes to deep space or whatever.
Yeah.
So I assume they built a special one-way gate or something to fire you to Andromeda in order to create colonies.
Or maybe they found where it was ending up and managed to reverse it or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's all about Reapers. Because presumably, if you find intelligent life in Andromeda, it's like, well, this is just the same situation, isn't it? They're being harvested by the Reapers. They seeded life in all the galaxies.
I really hope they don't. To be honest, they need a new bad guy. I think they played out the Reapers as much as they probably could. Because they're kind of one-track minded, aren't they, the Reapers?
Well,
like,
yes.
build up a civilization, melt it down into Terminators.
But that's why they back themselves into a hole.
That's why they can't use it again.
Oh man, I forgot about the Terminator at the end of Mass Effect 2. That was such a good sequence as well, all the way up to that point.
Yeah. The Terminator was weird. Yeah, so didn't really see anything especially useful. Still no release date, officially. Yeah, nothing to go on. Then some charity or some shit.
Well, you forgot the important, mid bit, in this weird video reel that they quickly got into, where it's... oh no, I think it was actually some guy talking on stage, one of them, where they basically said, hey, we patch things all the time, that's good. It's he didn't say that, he basically said, we're doing constant updates for all that, and it's you mean patches. You mean all your games are fucked on release, and then you spend a long time patching them afterwards.
Wait, for what? Was it just
in general?
Just in that BioWare bit?
No, it was after that. It was right at the end before the charity thing. He was we update our games constantly, and it's to fix them.
But in this case, he was trying to say, we update them all the time to add stuff to them.
Yes.
Like these weird achievements that are something to do with playing to give to charity or something. But not because we're just going to give money to charity. I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about for this segment. He's like, yeah, we're supporting these 5 charities, and so we're adding achievements to our games to represent them that achieve nothing. Actually nothing. Other than we get more points? Maybe?
Yeah, they're just trying to get people to play stuff whilst also pretending like they were doing a good thing.
But then there wasn't any game to it at all. It was just we're just going to give £1 million to charity, which is awesome. £1 million is no small number.
Well, split between 5 charities though.
Still, no small number. But yeah, not quite sure what they were trying to say. One guy clapped is my note here.
Yeah.
Just one guy.
One guy knew what the fuck that was about.
Yeah. He was the one that probably came up with the plan. FIFA 17. How do you feel about Alex Hunter?
I feel, my note says, hey, I'm a guy with monologue dreams.
So, FIFA 17 is getting a story mode, which I think is fine. Sports game with story modes, that's kind of okay.
Race Driver, Tucker Race Driver.
Yeah. Well, Fight Night was the good one, right?
Arguably good.
That was a story mode.
Rocky.
Yeah, that had Rocky in it, yeah. Well, not actually Rocky, but Rocky-esque. And Burger King ads. That had those two.
I think it's a reasonable idea.
Yeah.
Is it a British bloke then? Is that the idea?
Yes. A British bloke who ends up playing for Man United.
You assume that's going to be a creator character. It's not just going to be him.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it just this
London
London
I reckon
bloke?
it'll be him. I reckon you're playing that guy.
Yeah, it's this. I think so too. It's just this one character.
That's not what they've done before.
No,
it's not how NBA worked.
No,
it is how Fight Night worked.
That's going back a bit though.
It sounded like they cast him or whatever. Is this?
Yeah,
London teenager guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that could well be a creator character.
I think it's a canned story where everything is.
Well, the story's going to be the same, but the character which will be weird because it'll be this voice doesn't match it'll be like NBA, where it's the voice doesn't really match the design I made with this.
I think they might have problems if it wasn't set.
But we'll see who's right.
Yeah,
I'm going for fixed.
So am I. Yeah, I think this could be okay. They're calling it The Journey.
Yeah,
which is
a reasonable idea.
FIFA The Journey. It's it'll be a typical, as typical as these stories get, right? He's picked up from nowhere,
yep.
He suddenly becomes a superstar, something goes horribly wrong, his family get into debt, he falls out with his brother, kills his brother.
Someone dies of cancer for some reason.
Yeah.
No, they won't do that. A FIFA game.
And they already showed footage of it that it's it turns out he's terrible when he joins the Premier League, that kind of stuff.
Well, he's not terrible. He's just
can't finish.
But what I don't understand is if you're playing this character in FIFA, you don't play as a character. You play as a team.
Well, you can.
Can you? Is that what
there is a Libero Grande style mode?
Is that how it's going to work?
I don't know. No one really knows how the gameplay of that is going to sit. It's it is weird.
I mean, that's why it always works better in basketball, because there's only 5 people on the team, so you can be one of them and still be reasonably involved, rather than 11 people where you're standing around for most of the time.
But then, like, what you want from a story like that is you want the ability for it to branch a little bit. So if you screw up, for instance, like a match or screw up a fight, you want it to be able to play out slightly differently. Like, a little bit, not all the time, but, you know, that was one of the problems with the Fight Night story, and that you, no matter what the situation was, you always had to win.
Yeah. Well, that is kind of true in boxing versus other sports. You basically have to always win.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah, unless it was one of those events where it's like, oh, this is a must-lose situation. The game goes into a sort of forced lose scenario that you're not really playing. Just to tell the story and stuff like that. It's a tricky thing to pull off, you know, because of all the variables that could happen in a sports game. But it does mean you can set up scenarios, maybe. Maybe you join a match, like,
well, yeah, maybe you won't actually play matches at all. Maybe it will just be, like, essentially, like, the training mode, except jazzed up into a, like, gameplay scenario.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that's not terrible either.
Yeah, because that training mode was actually useful a lot of the time.
Yeah, those have been good in the past. Yeah, so there's that. I don't think Frostbite really made it look a great deal better than what we'd seen before.
No.
There might have been more crowd, but, you know, when they cut to the crowd, it was clear they were doing, like, animation tessellation and stuff like that. So it's, yeah. The managers are in
Star
there.
Wars.
But yeah, 5 minutes to Star Wars.
Which
it's like,
didn't seem like 5 minutes.
No, it really wasn't. Their timing was bad. My note just says, "This was a lie." They devoided it thus far. Like, it wasn't like the last year's conference where it was like constantly 20 minutes to Battlefront or whatever. No matter what time it was.
Yeah.
It's like, Battlefront's coming. Hey guys, remember Battlefront's coming.
That was ridiculous.
But it's weird that they suddenly started doing it in this one.
Yeah,
it was
it's
like
like
5 minutes to Star Wars, and then later on there's just one other case, and
it
it's
wasn't
like,
even
why?
It wasn't even remotely true. It was at least another 20 minutes until any Star Wars showed up.
Yep.
Because they. At this point, they then had to go on and do the, hi guys, we've got managers in the game. Peter Moore is a real big fan of these managers.
Well, Peter Moore is a real big fan of Liverpool, apparently.
Yeah, as it turns out, no one else in the arena was.
No.
And then, of course, surprise Mourinho on stage cameo.
He's not Pele, at least.
He's not Pele. And he was probably as engaging as Pele. I mean, not at all.
Well, he was exactly how he always is, which is like real bland and like neutral.
And a little bit aggravated at everything around him.
A little vaguely angry.
Yeah.
So, you know, he at least did... It's like... He didn't have to put on a show because his natural state is not putting on a show.
His natural state is...
That's just why he's like always.
He is Mr. Null.
Yeah.
Mr. Null.
Mr. Null. He has no emotion. He is ManagerBot 2000.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that was right. It was a little bit forced, but, you know, at least Mourinho had some quips that were okay, I guess.
If you could hear them.
Yeah, if you could hear them.
Yes. And then 5 minutes to Battlefield 1. What happened to Star Wars?
Yeah, we haven't had Star Wars yet, and they put an indicator on screen saying 5 minutes to Battlefield. And it's like, okay. My note says, obviously, this was immediately a lie.
And then Star Wars, which I've helpfully missed the R out of. So Star Wars. Star Wars.
So Star Wars didn't come yet. You've missed EA Originals.
Oh no! Wait, hang on. I read my note wrong.
Yeah,
that was part of what happened to Star Wars.
Yeah, so EA Originals
with no R.
had to fill out some of the not 5 minutes.
Yeah, the EA Originals, which is really just EA Partners again.
Sort of, yeah. So it's basically the extension of the program they started doing for Unravel, I guess. They're sort of like, we really want to help some small indie teams find their feet in the industry, yada, yada, yada. And to their credit, they're apparently running this as a non-profit program. So the devs of these games will make their profit back, depending on how much effort EA puts into getting them out there, I guess. So, you know, this is interesting. And it also begs the question, like, okay, once they've done this once, does that mean, like, after that, EA requires that they are operating under normal EA rules and they want a cut? That kind of thing? Does it only operate for the first game they make? Or is it a way of EA finding more developers to buy in?
Possibly. We haven't seen what happens to the Yarny guys yet.
No, we haven't heard any, like, how did Yarny do, really. I mean, the game was kind of, like, received as a mediocre product, I guess.
Yep.
But, you know, no one wants to see them fail. So then they showed their first thing that was coming to EA Originals, called Fe. Or, you know, it just put FE on screen, and I'm like, okay, how do we pronounce this? And am I going, Iron.
Is it pronounced Iron?
No.
No.
It's Fee. Like FEE, but with one E weirdly absent.
So what the hell is Fee/Iron/?
Alright.
It's Laser Owl Songs. Is what I wrote.
Laser Owl Songs.
Laser
yes.
Owl Songs.
Laser Owl Songs?
Yep.
We should play a little weird Munchkin Fox type thing that may be a little bit less cuter than Ori.
Yep. It's very similar in design.
It's basically, like, I think it's a weird mashup of sort of Gone Home and Ori and the Blind Forest and Zelda, maybe, in terms of how you move around the environment to some degree. It seems to be just sort of an experimental explorative experience. Like, the game, they made a big deal of saying, we never handhold you at any point through this. Anything in the game you have to discover for yourself. There's no English, there's no tutorials. You've got to figure it out. And then there are some bad guys who are, like, very typical bad guys that are like, hey, we're the human-like things that are decimating the forest.
Yeah. And then
Stop them.
Apparently when you talk to other animals, you fire lasers at each other.
You fire lasers at the face, yeah.
And then that somehow lets you communicate, and then they help you.
In song or something, yeah. So, I don't know, could be okay, but some of the animation didn't look too hot, and some of the movement mechanics actually looked a bit funny. But, you know, they've still got time to make this thing, so... EA showing something potentially interesting and new.
Well, showing their one indie game
Yeah.
that apparently they're just going to do every year from now.
You know, that's fine. At least, you know, gives you something to be all like, ooh, I did not know this was coming in the show. Unlike everything else in the show.
Like everything else.
And then...
But I did make another note here, basically saying, other than showing a picture of... I got a couple of notes here. There was a bit where they mentioned, the game, you will have to use your stealth and cunning to get through certain circumstances, and the picture on screen behind him was throwing a rock in someone's face. You know, stealth and cunning. And then this last little bit was that, you know, they're still doing the annoying EA thing here, and that they talked about this game for a really long time, showing still images before they showed us anything interesting.
Yeah.
Star Wars happens!
Yeah, abruptly. Because, again, EA failed to make any kind of useful transition between their charming indie thing and loud noises.
Yeah.
And also not 5 minutes. Very not 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes at this point. So, I don't think they handled this very well, this section. It's like, because some of their Star Wars stuff is some of the most interesting, and yeah, the video they put together was high production value, but what do we really learn from this?
Well, it's because...
Basically, every time EA do these sort of production videos, it means we can't tell you anything, but we want to make it look like we're busy.
Yep, exactly.
Like, the only real major takeaway from it was, it sounds like they actually care about what they're doing. Which, you know,
that's what they always try and do.
Which is what they always try and say, yeah, sure. But, you know, the fact that they've got Dan, you'll know this, that guy from Star Wars that was mentioned, you know, the guy who's actually in charge of the new films. And making sure the universe is all tied together.
I actually don't know who it is from Disney that's in charge of shit.
But anyway, he's involved, so they're like,
cool.
They're making sure Star Wars feels Star Wars.
Well, that's not necessarily even their choice. That's probably like a Disney
do you mean Doug Chan?
Yes.
Okay. Because he did a bunch of the concept art for like the prequels, you know, all the ship designs. And
cool.
Yeah. So because that was a good part of the prequels, to be honest.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the visual style of those films.
Well, I wouldn't say he was responsible for the full visual style, but he did do.
No, but I mean in general.
He was the kind of Ralph McQuarrie equivalent for the prequels. And I think he did a decent job.
I never really had a problem with how things looked in the prequels anyway. The look of them wasn't my issue.
Yeah. Things like the Naboo fighters look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Droidicas and all of that shit. The gunships, they look pretty cool.
So, you know, they did that, which I guess is reassuring for Star Wars fans. So what else did we learn? What useful stuff did we learn? That there's going to be a whole new Battlefront game next year?
Maybe. It was kind of... They weren't very specific about that. It could have been stuff added to Battlefront. It could have been DLC, or it could have been a new game. Don't really know. They didn't particularly say.
It kind of looked like a whole bunch of developers doing maps and stuff and add-ons for Battlefront. Maybe it'll become more of a platform Battlefront because it's a bit
potentially
it's a bit weak on content. And apparently, the rumor is, I don't know if it's a rumor or it's confirmed, but the reason it doesn't have single player is not because they didn't want to do it; it's because they needed to make the date before Force Awakens came out.
Sure. Yeah, sure, that makes perfect sense. But then it shouldn't have been a $60 product. You know?
Yeah, there you
go. I think everyone's in agreement that thing shouldn't have been the price it was.
Yeah.
For what was in it. There just wasn't enough in it.
But I'm sure they made plenty of money. So.
Yeah, because Star Wars.
Yeah. They're not going to stop doing that.
So they made a big deal of them working with Motive on this thing, whoever this developer is. So Dyson Motive are working on it primarily. But there was also a sneaky reference to Criterion working on this thing.
Yeah, there was.
Further cementing the rumour that Criterion have been reduced to just being a helper studio, like most of the studios are for Ubisoft.
Well, I think it gets...
Well, most of Criterion have left, right?
Yeah,
like the original Criterion.
I think it gets mentioned later on in the other press conference that, I think Criterion is helping make the VR mission.
Right. Okay. We'll come back to that then. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really the only sort of takeaway from it. They didn't really tell us about. Amy Hennig was there saying some stuff, but
but not really saying anything.
It's not really saying anything. No, saying when you get that brief 2-second shot of what the new Star Wars adventure game might look like, and I mean it looks Tatooine as hell.
Yeah.
So
Sand.
Nothing wrong with that. But come on, guys, spread your wings a little.
Well, they want to make a Star Wars game in the new universe, so they're like, well, what planet? Oh, that sand planet.
Whatever that was called.
Jakku.
Jakku? Yeah. And then it's Battlefield time. Unless anyone has any more Star Wars stuff to talk about.
Starts with a singular woo, as you do. You've got to have one person in the crowd who just goes woo.
And Jim Sterling has already come apart and ripped this section apart a little bit because... by their own admission, was it Smarmy McSmarmface on stage right now, or someone? I can't remember. They're basically saying it took quite a while for them to realise that making Battlefield 1 might be a good idea. The original pitch fell on flat ears, and they had to come back with really.
Well,
basically what they. But then I'm not quite sure I understand why, because basically what they've done is they've made a Battlefield game.
Well, it's like what we discussed several times about the theoretical, way before we even knew this was going to be a thing, where we talked about the theoretical nature of a World War I battlefield and why that shouldn't work unless you do something to make it work in a very specific way. And it's like what they've really done is just made another skin for Battlefield, like Star Wars.
Yeah, they've made 1942 style Battlefield with World War I stuff.
Sure,
it seems. Even down to you're huddling around the old style looking flagpoles, and the way those battles seem to play out seems to feel like 1942, from what they've shown.
I like 1942.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
I'd rather have a World War II one, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not against it, but there's some stuff that my knowledge of the history falls down a little bit. Because it looked like they were using some guns at points where it's just was that involved in this fight? Or
a lot of them it's like the machine guns were involved, but there was no way you could fire one from the hip. You would have to mount it or whatever.
Yeah, stuff like that where I'm just sort of this looks a little odd. Or
there's some odd stuff in there for sure. Tanks, also big tank battles and stuff didn't really happen like that.
It's in reality, it'd be you get the tank and then 15 minutes later you'd stop because it'd break down and then you'd have to spend quarter of an hour fixing it again.
Yeah. And there wouldn't have been many of them, presumably.
No, there weren't that. No. Well, there were quite a lot on the Western Front, I think, because they did mass produce them towards. But that's only, compared to men, there were a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, there weren't a lot. Yeah.
I think I would have preferred it a little bit if they had gone slightly more realistically skewed on that front, where it's tone... Because I always really liked the infantry stuff in all of the Battlefield games. I almost prefer it to when it goes big scale and relies on all the vehicles all the time. it would have been interesting to have treated the vehicles a bit like super weapons, right? So, make it infantry focused, but make it so when a tank turns up, that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be like that stupid, ridiculous APC in the new Battlefields games.
Yeah, I guess.
The Uber APC with a grenade launcher that has 1 million hit points.
Yeah. Reminds me a little bit. What did they call the big vehicle in? Was it in Unreal? Where you had to build it and wait for it to...
Oh yeah, like the thing that's...
Goliath or something? Or Goliath's the tanks.
That's Halo.
Yeah. Something like that.
The thing is, the rifles for infantry combat in World War One, they're just freaking...
Leviathan, that was it.
Leviathan, yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
They're just bolt action, aren't they? Not even... it's not even like their M1, which is semi-auto... it's like bang, click, bang, click, if you're lucky.
They didn't show us any, bayonet action. Really.
Yeah.
Well, they showed one guy jumping on another guy and stabbing him, but that wasn't really a bayonet.
They are doing bayonets, though.
Well, presumably.
They've gamified it for sure, but...
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out. This didn't happen during the show, and maybe we should talk about this in a bit, but the blimp destruction...
Ridiculous.
Well, that was shown in the trailer.
Oh, sure, but the fact that it actually destroys the environment underneath it and stuff like that, and it can fall. It's not scripted where that thing falls; it can fall anywhere on the map.
Yeah, but that's not that amazing. They already had
cool.
destructible
It's
buildings.
kind of cool.
It's pretty cool.
And the fact that then that wreckage stays there for the entire fight, it's like it's a big. I kind of like that. It's ridiculous, but it looks cool. Who knows how that will actually work gameplay-wise? Like, they were selling it as, man, this can really turn the tide if used well.
It will be completely irrelevant.
Yeah, probably.
Inevitably, what will happen is...
It'll be Levolution.
or it'll be like...
Levolution.
It'll be like them when you actually... Rarely in 2142, when you had servers that allowed Titan movement. So, what happened was the Titans flew to the furthest corners of the map they possibly could be.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what will happen. If you're trying to protect something, you fly as far away as physically possible.
Or alternatively, silly people flew them and made sure they rammed each other.
Yep, all that. There won't be what is the theoretical idea of the wrecking? Just
it just makes the battlefield under it a little bit more awkward.
I mean, sure, but then what? You can't tactically use that, can you? It's like, although our blimp might die in a minute, I better fly it to somewhere where I can tactically land the wreckage on top of something important.
I guess it would fly too slow. It's just something that can happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool.
Inevitably, it will crash in the middle of an open field where it won't matter in any way.
So, I have to call EA out on this because the way they presented Battlefield 1 at the trailer was really crap.
Yep, they did a trailer.
A trailer for the trailer,
which was just the start of the trailer.
Which was just the start of the trailer that they showed about 5 minutes later.
What? Why?
It's so bad. Also, that song they use. I know it is basically a version of the Battlefield theme, right? I don't mind the drum part of it,
sure.
But when you've got the rapper on it,
right.
Did they have that kind of rap in 1914?
It's irrelevant.
Can't change the world.
No, they didn't.
No, don't. I gave Seven Nation Army a pass. I know most of the internet didn't, but
that was the one thing that was good about it. It wasn't a dumb cover of an old song,
I guess.
like every other video game trailer at the moment.
But this version of it, just if they took that guy out of it, that vocal, fine, no problem at all. With that vocal in, it falls apart. You're making something crazy. I get it. Too crazy with that guy. Yeah, no, presentation of the Battlefield 1 was a bit bad. Because then they went on to, that whole, after party thing was a bit... Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't watch any of that.
I caught up on some of it, and I was... Yeah, all the celebrities they had come out.
I did watch some of the celebrity intros, where they were, on the red carpet letting them in.
Yeah,
it's let's interview these guys before they go and play Battlefield. Oh, here's Snoop Dogg, lol.
And Jamie Foxx and Zac Efron, both of which had no idea what was going on.
No.
The only guy who seemed to have his shit together is my personal favourite, Terry Crews.
Yep.
Old Spice man. He's just... He knew what was... He looked genuinely into what was going on.
He always looked like that, though.
I know, but...
the Jose Mourinho
he was saying the right things. He was asking the right questions, like someone who actually played the game, right?
Sure.
Surely he could have been, actor-trained, because actors.
Yeah.
But... everyone else seemed like they were just there for some of Snoop's weed.
Yep,
And
exactly.
Don't blame him.
He very unsubtly referenced it.
Yeah, and then everyone following him referenced Snoop's weed after that. It was pretty funny, but so bad. I feel like the guy presenting that. Well, actually, no, it got worse because then the commentators, right, when they were trying to show the match, it was clear that the guys they were showing weren't any of the celebrities. They were like obviously showing pros play the game,
or showing people who like knew where to go stand to make things look cool.
Yeah, but then the commentators are trying to explain the elements of the game as they go, and they kept repeating themselves and going, "Well, this is another cool thing," and it's like, no, it's not a cool thing. That's been in all the Battlefield games, you know. Apart from, hey, we've got mantling now. Like, great.
You can jump over things.
There was one bit where
now has the animation.
There was one bit, where you know the like where you aim the gun in those tanks. You've got that because the gun is on the side of the tank. There was a bit where they just like that bit of gun like clipped through a wall, and the commentators basically kind of going, "Oh, just smashing through that wall," and it's like, no, that's just the camera clipping.
I mean, you know, potentially they could make it so that the gun has a collision model that could hit a wall
and get stuck. Yeah,
everyone wants it to be like that scene in the third Indiana Jones film, where you're going alongside the thing and then firing the gun at the truck that's driving along.
Sure, yeah,
and like all of that craziness, and people getting crushed by the tracks and all of that shit, and then it goes off the cliff at the end, doesn't it?
Naturally,
you just want that whole sequence,
of course.
Yeah, and then it explodes. That's what you want. And they're doing it in the desert as well. They've got tanks in the desert, so you'll be able to recreate that scene stupidly.
And horses. And trains.
Yeah, and horses, yeah.
And, well, I guess the other thing is, dynamic weather. Like, apparently that's unlike, what they're selling it as, unlike the scripted weather that would occur in Battlefield 4, like, this might be actually legitimately randomised.
Except it will probably still be scripted but random. It'll probably be like a certain period into this match trigger a weather event. Sometimes nothing will happen, sometimes this will happen.
Or maybe it will start raining and then it will clear, or like what difference does the rain actually make?
See, what they really need is like spin tires mud physics.
Oh wow, yeah. That would be cool. Like suddenly everything becomes impossible to drive and it forces a foot fight.
Yeah, that
and
would be
impossible to run as well.
Yeah.
Make everything real slow. Probably not that great. Well, you know, it was a thing that, like, when Battlefield 3 first was in, like, beta, and they had their crater tech, and it was like, holy shit, deformable terrain. And then they basically had to take that out because it was well broken, and everyone clipped through the floor all the time.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe it's, you know, can we have that back? Can we actually have functional crater deforming terrain?
You must have well, the problem with, they would have to have zones where deformation was possible so it doesn't interfere with the what looks like, they've done the thing that Battlefield 4 did with building destruction where it's not as dynamic as you think.
Yeah,
like things destroy in a certain way.
Like you can take out a certain number of walls, but then there's a canned animation where it turns into a rubble pile.
Yeah, and that rubble pile is a fixed thing. Yeah. You know, presumably to keep the rubble interesting so you can move in it and
keep it like contained so there's still paths around destroyed stuff.
I guess that's the other thing, like if the blimp blows stuff up, how bad would the server lag? Like when
well, you remember how it was with that building,
the
big building in Battlefield 4 where it's like, oh, you can tell the building's just blown up because everything got weird suddenly.
The whole game's gone to hell. Yeah.
I wonder what happened to Bad Company.
They made 2 of them and then gave up.
And then stopped, yeah.
Well, they haven't fully exploited all the other potential theatres. They don't need to have a comedy version that just takes place in Modern Warfare again.
Well, they haven't focused on it, but this game is getting a campaign, apparently.
Sure. I mean,
not that the last few have been any good, but
they did say that they didn't want one character who, for some contrived reason, goes all to every theatre of war.
Yeah.
Instead, they're going to have different characters.
Jump about. Try and do the old Modern Warfare thing, I guess, and jump about.
Do the COD thing.
Yeah.
And then they can have them die periodically, which seems inevitable.
Yeah. So that was EA. That's 2 years at least 2 years in a row. EA have had a kind of crappy conference, like just with nothing.
All the conferences are crappy.
Yep, this year's been.
Oh no, EA are just on a streak though. They're just like, here's how not to do it, and here's how to not announce anything interesting. Come on, EA. Do you have the money and the power to do better than this?
Well, they didn't have anything to show, really. That was the
No,
problem.
but that's I mean, 1 year. Maybe next year they're going to have an amazing show, right? Because they'll be able to show all these Star Wars games. They'll be able to show what they've been working on.
That'd be good.
Maybe
then-
suddenly driving will come back somehow, even though that completely obliterated.
Yeah, maybe they'll
whatever Criterion were supposedly working on when they weren't working on the Star Wars.
Well, they're not working on Need for Speed next year. Next year there'll be Need for Speed, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be back. FMV glory.
Feel the need.
So, Bethesda.
Yep.
I think they had a pretty good show. Just putting it out there before we begin. I think the Bethesda show was pretty good.
Yeah.
What was the big stuff?
So,
We'll just go through it in order.
let's go through it.
Fine.
For starters, the stream they put up on YouTube was good quality and 60 frames per second, so I appreciated that as I was catching up.
Kudos.
But they opened with Quake Champions.
Which is...
Quake is back.
So, is it Quake 3?
It is multiplayer, so it looks like they're going for the Quake 3.
Well,
lore.
it looks like they're going for Overwatch. It's Overwatch Quake.
Sort
Your
of.
characters have abilities.
Yeah.
Right.
That look like they're tied to specific characters, probably.
Yeah.
Could work.
So this was basically just the reveal trailer. They didn't want to say much, unfortunately, and saying, "Hey, QuakeCon's coming. We're going to talk about it there."
Surprise.
Because the thing about Overwatch, it isn't really class-based anymore, because there's just so many characters and they're all different.
It's hero. That's what they want
It's
you to think.
hero-based,
It's hero-based.
And I guess that makes sense for Quake, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, we could have Orb actually be different.
Yeah.
Have a different hitbox.
Yeah.
Rather than just having irritating sound effects. Or
Crash.
I mean, it's good, right? I mean, Doom's obviously done really well recently. That they've obviously recently
that's true.
proven that, id are still capable of
So are it making this?
They didn't strictly
Okay.
say. They've at least said that, at least Bethesda themselves have proven that they're capable of taking the franchise in the direction it needs to go, apart from Doom's multiplayer side.
This will fix this, hopefully.
And I think this will be the natural successor to Quake Live, right?
Yeah.
Which they want something to replace that aging thing, but in a more mainstream fashion. Quake Live always lived on the sort of outskirts of multiplayer gaming. Like, it was not. I guess you'd argue most people wouldn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
So I guess this is them trying to take Quake and be all like, "Hey guys, this is still a thing." But will it be a thing is my worry. Like, the arena shooter still isn't setting the world on fire. I mean, Unreal Tournament's about, and
Yeah.
none of us have played it.
But like you say, they're
It's
going
barely a
they're,
round.
they're going for Overwatch or whatever. And that's got 10 million players already, apparently.
Sure, yeah, it's massive. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm interested. Quite, some good arena shooting. I've been sort of wishing existed for a while.
A lot of people have, yeah.
But there's just not been one that has either been exciting enough or had a player base.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, because I like all the idea of Unreal being open source and being developed in the open, and it's cool, but there's never going to be like a big release where everyone is suddenly piles on and plays it.
Exactly, no, because of the way they're doing it, yeah. There's never going to be that moment where it's like, "Hey guys, UT is hot right now."
Exactly.
But
But there could be a Quake is hot right now.
there could well be, yeah.
There's certainly an Overwatch is hot right now, feeling.
Yeah, rightly so.
And a Rocket League, but yeah.
Yeah, somehow Rocket League is still relatively hot.
Well, they haven't even, like, when this patch comes out and they introduce a proper use for all those duplicate items and stuff, it's like...
Yeah.
And they're actually doing a retail physical release of the game.
Oh, are they?
Finally, for some reason.
Oh yeah, and it includes like all the
Includes
DLC.
4
and-
exclusive cars that
Yeah.
you can't get until a couple of weeks after the
Yeah.
release.
Woo. Yeah, so there's that. I liked their staging at this point because they had wherever they were, there was a cool domed sort of.
They said it was a hangar, so I assume it was a
Yeah.
hangar. It's okay.
But they were using the roof of the hangar to do stuff and make it all blend in. It was a cool presentation. Like, things look good. The Doom and Quake Fire and stuff just spread around the whole thing, and you could see like when they needed sky effects, they'd actually put sky effects on the hangar. It's like, it was cool. Well done. Elder Scrolls.
Apparently,
The card game.
Apparently, Elder Scrolls Online was MMO of the year
Yeah,
from someone.
Well,
someone.
Didn't anyone release an MMO other than Elder
That's
Scrolls
the
Online?
question.
Is that why it got it?
Well, no, but that was like a continuing thing, so I guess it was still up against like Star Wars.
And WoW.
Yeah,
And Guild Wars.
yeah,
Which had its expansion last
exactly.
year.
It's like, who gave them MMO of the year? What are you doing?
What about that one with the cowboy one? Wild Star Online, or
that has never really done that well. I mean, it
Well,
went
I
free
think
to
it
play
did
recently,
relatively
didn't it?
well at the start.
Yeah, I think people got bored of it quick.
Yeah.
Was the problem. When did it go free to play? A year ago, maybe
Yeah,
2 years
probably
now?
a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, so they then talked about Elder Scrolls Legends, which is the card game. And I don't think you can make a card game show that well, but the problem is that I think it showed less well than Hearthstone. Like, it's just bland looking. It's like, I've got no real problem necessarily with the mechanics, like, you can't really tell that from a show, but just the look of it, you put that next to Hearthstone looks like the more interesting game.
Elder Scrolls, just aesthetic in general, it's always
a
a bit bland and
bland,
generic.
yeah.
Always has been, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not that I don't think Skyrim has some great, spectacular views and stuff, but it's more about the expanse of it than the kind of distinctiveness of the...
I kind of feel the same way about all of the Bethesda Studios games.
Well,
to some
Fallout's
degree.
got a bit more.
A little bit more, but
life
there
style.
is something a little lifeless about it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's hard to define.
Because of their terrible engine.
I don't think that's it. There is an art direction thing to it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been totally into it, but yeah, just this thing just looked a bit... I know they've got to push it, and I know the guy seemed enthusiastic for card games, but yeah, it didn't show well. Quick aside to catch up on what's happening in the Fallout 4 world. It looks like they're adding some of the Fallout Shelter stuff to Fallout 4, like a Vault Tech workshop game or something.
They're making it so you can build a vault in Fallout 4 using like snap together pieces, whatever that really means. I mean, it just means you make a town and it's underground.
You're making an XCOM ant farm.
Well, except not really, because it's still in first person.
Is it? Oh, it looked like they showed shots of it, like from.
Yeah, but that might just have been a stylistic thing they were trying to invoke Fallout Shelter by showing it from a camera side-on view.
Yeah.
Because he was definitely building it from first person, using the normal build interface. You could see him snapping a corridor onto another corridor he was standing in.
Oh, okay, right. So did you get what the point in that was going to be?
Well, it's going to be like all of the Fallout 4 DLCs so far, entirely pointless.
Okay.
Where they try and add content, but no one cares. Where it's like, oh, you can trap creatures. Woo!
What, and train them as pets? Or
Yep. Or make them fight each other. That was the last DLC. No one cared.
Dung Beetle Sumo?
No, not quite.
Well,
And then...
and then what looked like a major expansion pack, like Nuka World.
Yeah. I saw some people who seemed to have interpreted that was going to be you could build your own theme park, and it was like, no, that's not what that was trying to imply, I don't think.
It'll be like... No, Las Vegas was a full-on sequel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It'll be like when they did those region
Vegas.
upgrades for... Yeah, sorry, New Vegas,
Right.
Yeah, it will just be a, separate area that you transport to somehow. Well, I don't know, maybe they'll
It might be
somehow
attached to
jam
the
it
map.
into the map.
Yeah.
Sure, but it'll be a place. Supposedly, the hook of that is you can basically become a raider. Like, the raiders have taken over this theme park, and you can become the leader of those raiders and then go and raid. It's like, well, that's weird. Become a bad guy for no apparent reason.
Yeah, could be interesting.
I mean, sure.
Especially if that affects the rest of the world, right? That you can do stuff in previous
Probably
areas.
not gonna. But then you'd be raiding your own settlements at that point, because you've already taken over all these settlements for the good guys during the course of Fallout 4.
Couldn't that be kind of fun, though? Like, is that a way of them setting up some user-created challenge stuff? Like,
Yeah,
here, come
yes.
raid my town.
Don't think it'll be that interesting. It'll probably just be like... It'll probably have an idea like that, but then it won't be executed nearly well enough to actually be good.
The Fallout way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they talked about Shelter itself a little bit, saying that it's getting a big quest mode update, where you go on quests with the people you send out into the wilderness. Great. And a PC version is coming.
Yeah.
I can smell your enthusiasm. And then we called it, lads.
Yeah.
We called it.
Of course.
Elder Scrolls 5 Special Edition. Totally a thing.
Yeah, I mean, but
It's basically Skyrim with pre-installed mods.
that's what it is, right?
Well, it is a graphics update as well.
Well, as far as people can tell, the textures aren't changed.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah.
just like
It's
a
lighting and
technology
stuff.
effect.
I've got like god rays and shit.
Yeah, okay.
Which you could already do with mods.
I actually think I saw some comparison photos on Eurogamer from Digital Foundry, and and I don't know if it was modded up or it was just a super high detail mode on PC versus
Right.
the remaster, and they look different. Oh, I think the PC looked a bit better.
Right. The super realism mods.
No, it wasn't modded. I think it was just old Skyrim on super high
And
on PC.
it still looks better than the
Well,
Special Edition?
Well,
There must
it
be
was
some
different.
effects that the new one's doing that the other one didn't
the
have.
new one's got new effects on it. I
Better
can't
lighting and...
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Different
all those
lighting,
modders were...
Well, they were saying they had like more dynamic lights, right? So you would fire magic and that would light a room.
I think that's definitely true.
Yeah. That's like those... The modded... The particularly, like, the lighting mods were the ones that did that. And then there's just, like, slightly better, like, ground cover for grass and stuff.
Yeah, there's
like,
more foliage and stuff.
More detailed foliage.
But I just think they've changed the
new
look
water.
through lighting in a way that it looks more kind of fairy tale-y than it
A
used
little
to.
bit, yeah. It's a little more, like, I noticed one, like, the morning shot they showed, it's like, oh, hey, things are a lot foggier than they were before.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
But
Fair
I
enough.
guess that could be morning haze they're trying to
Yeah.
replicate. That kind of stuff. But we called it.
Fine.
And apparently this version of the game will be compatible with existing PC mods. I'm not sure how that's going to
I
work.
don't know if they said that, actually. It's just like they showed a modding interface.
Oh, no, they showed that the console version is going to get mods, but I'm pretty sure they said the specific phrase that it will be compatible with existing mods.
Trouble
I
is-
don't know. I can't see how that's possible with graphics mods. Maybe that will work with mechanical mods. I
Well,
don't
the
know.
trouble with a lot of the Skyrim mods is there's like codependencies that are weird, like the whole Skyrim script extender where it's like you need this one mod that basically makes a lot of other mods even possible.
Oh, sure. Oh, of course, the one that was that the one that was involved in the whole, when they went paid mod stuff?
Yeah.
The one that everyone was sort of like, oh crap, if this goes paid.
Well, one of the ones, yes.
Yeah.
And then, I had a bunch of Skyrim mods where it was like fucking code injection into an exe that was running on top of another one or something.
Wow.
It's like, you're not going to get into, like, those mods.
No, definitely not. That's a bit rough.
So who knows how much mods are actually supported by that. And that's the sort of whole problem with console mods in general, is like they have these they showed their nice mod interface where you scroll through the mods and you select the mods. It's like, even in the Steam Workshop, that barely works most of the time. You still have to have, like, there's special cases where you're like, oh, we need to actually go and fuck around with this manually to some extent.
Yeah, go replace this file, go do this thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to know how that all plays out, because to some degree, aren't they planning on doing some of that for Doom as well? Or,
Yeah.
but that's probably, by mods, they probably just mean SnapMap for Doom.
Probably.
SnapMap. So then a dude from Arcane Studios turns up, and I immediately go, oh, this is going to be Dishonored 2, right? No, he shows something very different. They end up showing a trailer of some guy who seems to be waking up and his eyes getting progressively worse, and then...
It's the same day over and over.
yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
I saw this.
And then it was all a dream and he's in a science facility. Oh no. Maybe.
Maybe in a space station or something, not a planet after all.
Impossible to know what that is, really,
No.
in terms of a game.
Except that it has the name Prey.
Because why the fuck would you do that, you idiots?
It's one of those things where it's like, how on earth are they going to... Or are they going to tie it to the Prey that came before?
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Like, yeah, Native Americans and aliens, right?
And what happened to Prey 2?
It never got off the ground. Like,
But it was a completely different game, and it looked like it had a really good concept, and it had like gameplay. A certain extent.
that futuristic city shit.
Yeah, like
That
you were
looked
like an FBI agent only in space, and you had to go around arresting aliens and interrogating them and stuff.
yeah.
Super cool.
It's like, what happened to that? And now we're just making another game called Prey. It's not even like where they've already made 5 games where it's like, oh, Prey 5 and now The Prey. It's just like Prey again for no apparent reason.
Prey, followed by Prey.
Maybe that is Prey 2. I don't know. Maybe not.
No, it's probably not.
Frack.
Because Prey 2's
I don't
tied
think-
to Prey 1 fairly directly, in theory. It's like the start of Prey 2 was meant to be... You were on that 747 that was in Prey 1 when
I really
the
don't
747 gets
remember.
abducted by the aliens into their ship and it crashes, and you were on that plane.
I just
And
remember.
you get knocked out and taken away by the
I
aliens
remember
or whatever.
portals and gravity boots.
Yep.
That is all I remember of Prey, and the fact that you're a Native American. I remember nothing else.
But this new one just looks like, generic space horror game.
I gotta admit, that trailer was like, yeah, we don't know what the game is, but that was a good trailer. Come on.
Sure.
I remember Prey being a game that was in development for so long that when I was originally reading about it in PC Gamer magazine. I was reading
yeah.
about Portals in
Yeah.
1998 or something. way
And then
before
didn't
Portal. And then
Unreal
it came out
Tournament-
after Portal.
And then didn't Unreal Tournament come out with its own Portal tech before Prey launched?
Probably, yeah. And then Prey,
Which was
a
basically
different
not
game.
really used, except in a few spaces where they had like a couple of gates that seemed to go to a different world, and you could walk behind them, and it's like, no, that world's not there.
Yep.
Or-
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure UT did that.
Yep, I think it did.
UT 2003 or something.
No,
Oh,
UT.
UT did that. Oh, did it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, weirdness. The depths of time.
Yeah. Yeah, only on like 1 or 2 levels. It wasn't like something they really had everywhere. There must have been a couple of cases where it's like, we've got a low poly count here, we can do this.
We can basically combine 2 levels into one.
Yeah.
I just remember there being a article sort of games that are coming that look awesome.
Yeah, 'cause they
in
did that
PC
thing-
Gamer, and it had Prey as one of them, and it
it
had
had that-
Half-Life as another one.
They had
it was
that-
like, this might be good.
They had that video shot from Prey that I always remember where it was like basically like a gyroscope, wasn't it? Except the middle circle was a portal.
Yeah.
And you could see through it as it was turning and stuff like that, and you're just like, holy crap, they can do this? That's technologically amazing. And then
and then
didn't come out for a really long time.
But it did come out.
It did come
I
out.
liked it.
Yeah.
and then you played it.
I think I did.
Ah,
I think I might have played a bit of it, maybe not the whole thing. I think I watched a lot of it. I think my brother was playing it,
Sure.
but I can't remember anything.
no.
2017 release date, more to be announced at QuakeCon. Apparently. Quick catch up on Doom. But just to say, we're still updating SnapMap. We're going to let you do more of what you want with it to make proper single player stuff. And that they are introducing the thing to multiplayer that everyone kind of wants, which is a proper free-for-all mode. Like, everyone was like, team deathmatch in Doom? That's not right. It needs to be all against all. So they're adding that. And that there will be a demo, except that's probably already expired by now.
Yeah, it was like
It's
a
like-
1 week now.
That's so weird, right? We're going to make a free demo in the spirit of shareware, except you can't share it after a week.
Nice.
Except you can't share it at all, because that's not how any
That's
games
not how
work at
anything
all.
works.
They
Yeah.
did
Because it's
release
in
a
Steam.
They did release a demo for Doom.
The original Doom.
No,
Actual Doom.
actual Doom. Like, I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but it's on Steam. There's
That's
a
the
demo.
one we're talking
That's
about.
probably the
Yeah,
one we're
yeah.
talking
Can't
about.
play it any longer.
Oh, really? It's only a week?
Yeah.
Oh, right, fine.
Although,
Or you might have to get
I've
on
got
it.
it downloaded.
Yeah.
well, maybe...
Maybe it's download only for a week or something.
Yeah, maybe if you already have it, it will stay. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, you'll have to try that, see what
Yeah,
the
I
deal
haven't
is. See what the
had
deal
time.
is. Yeah.
I will try and play it next week.
So then we got on to the MMO of the year,
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Online.
And an incredibly enthusiastic woman.
And I just basically put, obviously the Elder Scrolls team was sat near the microphone.
Or one woman was,
One
yeah.
woman, yeah, just like, woo!
Everywhere, every sentence that guy finished was followed by woo, or hell yeah, or what?
What?
Say
there was, there was one point where she just went, what? Yeah. And they must work on the team.
Ridiculous.
All were very high.
I'm sure Snoop Dogg was around.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently,
Although he
it's
doesn't
releasing
do
in
that.
So here we go. Bullet points, just to quickly crap through them. Apparently it's coming to Japan, which it wasn't already. There are screamers that need to shut up in the audience. That's a key note.
Yep.
Repeat
that one again.
There's a big expansion coming called the Dark Brotherhood.
because it was the one good thing they ever did.
And then the weirder point, like, I don't know how I feel about this, and maybe you'll have an opinion on this. They mentioned this thing called One Tamriel, which isn't really a feature change or any sort of expansion or anything like that, but it's a structural change to how the game works, where it makes it sound like so Guild Wars 2 has the function where if you enter a zone that you're over-leveled for, it down-levels you to the max level of the area, right? To keep it so there's some level of involvement in what you're doing. It sounds like Tamriel does this in both directions, as in you'll up-level to the area you're in. It's basically getting rid of the need for experience. Presumably leveling is only then a gear restrictor. Are they trying to make the game more gear-based than level-based, or... I don't know, that just struck me as slightly odd. Like, how does that work now? I mean, I guess when you get to, like, max level in any MMO, it becomes a gear game rather than a level game anyway, but... Are they just trying to... Look, here you are, you're at the gear game already. It's just a bit odd. Thoughts? Any?
No.
No opinions.
No thoughts.
Not just because it's Elder Scrolls. What if Guild Wars did that?
No, it just sounds weird.
Well, it doesn't. If Guild Wars did it, it wouldn't be that amazing. It's like they already scale you down, so scaling you up to that same level wouldn't, because it's still in Guild Wars it's still a fixed level 4 that's appropriate for the level of that map. So there's still like a progression in difficulty as you go up, I guess.
Oh, what? So you reckon if you enter an 80 area, it's harder regardless?
Because there's just more things that can happen. Like the enemies are more complicated in a lot of cases.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So the game is still harder even if you're leveled to your opponent.
Yeah. I don't know. Wasn't that amazing, I didn't think.
No. Well,
but we don't really know how that game works anyway, so...
No, I guess not. So then they tried to say, hey guys, thanks for coming. To show some appreciation of your thanks, we've got like a parking lot set up with some stuff in it. And guess who's there? Blink 182.
Yeah. They said, here comes a concert after this thing. After we're done.
I'm pretty sure there was one guy that wooed.
Yep, the old one woo.
Just one woo.
Gotta have one woo.
It wasn't the same woman. It wasn't the Elder Scrolls lady. Just one guy went, woo. My notes have just disappeared. I can't carry on. There we go. Bethesda VR. I think that's what they called it.
Well,
like their initiative to make stuff VR-ified.
Their one thing.
Yeah, their one thing. Their Fallout 4 is apparently going to play the entire game in VR next year.
That sounds...
ambitious?
I don't know. Does it, though? It's just like...
But they made the gun game more important, right?
Yeah, but it's a first-person view anyway, and it's like, what are they actually going to do? I mean, they say it's on Vive, so at least it'll have the good tracking controllers, so they can theoretically make it like a whole different gun thing.
Well, that was my biggest question, is like, how do they solve has anyone attempted to make it? Is anyone actually attempting to make a VR FPS and solve, apart from rigs? And solve the sort of where does your gun sit compared to where you're looking problem?
Sure. I mean, there's been plenty of sort of tech demo versions of first-person shooters in VR, and people say it's like, it becomes intuitive where you're like, you can actually do blind fire because you actually know where the gun is and what direction it's pointing because you're holding it.
Okay, so it relies on you holding a gun rather than a controller, but then how does movement work?
Yeah, I don't know what the button layout is like on those Vive hand controllers. Like, is there a way that you could theoretically...
I'm not sure there's many buttons on them.
Yeah.
I've got triggers, so it's gun-like in that.
Yeah, but I meant from, movement. Is there enough buttons on there that you could conceivably actually have move controls on the thing that you're holding for the gun?
Do they have sticks on them? Like nunchucks?
Yeah, I don't actually know what the button layout is.
I don't think they do.
Mm.
But then that's not necessarily a problem if they did a little bit of balancing, because you could essentially play Fallout 4 and basically have it be like, when you holster your gun, you're essentially actually putting down the controllers, changing to a movement controller, and then pulling your gun out of the holster is like picking up the controllers again.
Maybe. That's really awkward when you can't see where the controllers are.
Well, you could, because they could just
be in the world,
like AR them into the world, essentially.
I think it's going to have to be a pad game. Like, there's too much going on, and none of the hand controllers seem capable enough.
Then that way it's even easier to do, because you're just importing the first-person view into the headset.
Oh, sure, but I'm just saying it probably might not be good if you're if you're looking around and your gun isn't following your vision or something like that, or like I don't know, who knows exactly how they'll do it, but then they've got the classic problem, right?
I mean, they could make it a vision following gun if they wanted to.
Maybe.
Where you're looking is where you're shooting.
Maybe. I'm not sure that's good either.
I don't think it'll be good. Or I think not for long periods.
I think there are things they could do, but it's just like they have the control problem.
And also, it's just the classic VR simulation problem of like moving but not moving.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. There is that, which is fine if you're sat down.
Theoretically, yeah.
But it's more bearable if you're sat down.
You just have to imagine that you're driving a human-sized tank.
Yeah. Which is fine if you've got the suit.
Yeah, or there's just a gun sticking out in the middle of the screen. It's like it's a tank.
So then we closed out things with Dishonored 2, which
took fucking forever.
They spent a long time on Dishonored 2, but yeah, lots of random scene flybys saying, "Hey, we built this new graphics engine for this thing."
And,
really?
And we're going to keep saying that we're going to show you gameplay, and then not actually show you gameplay
for a while. Yeah. They call it the Void engine. Like they wanted a specific type of lighting and stuff that no Bethesda tech could do, apparently, to get the feel of the towns they wanted.
Cool.
So they've built their own engine to handle it. It looks alright. Nothing technologically amazing. Like, not sure you really needed to highlight it as a brand new graphics engine and all that stuff, but,
when you're Bethesda, maybe you do.
I guess you had time to fill? Yeah, I guess you're right, yeah. Like, they couldn't say, hey, we put Dishonored on the creation engine, and then everyone groans. It visually looks fine. Guy needs to clear his throat a lot. They had a cool. I think the timepiece mechanic they had looked cool. So they had a bit where you could flip between two time periods.
It's been done.
It has been done, but the fact that you could hold up that device and it's showing you what the world is like in the other time period using portals.
Yeah, using portals.
Yeah, and that I guess, and the fact that it's rendering the scene twice.
Which is why it's locked down to this one tiny mansion.
Yeah. It looked cool. Looked like a fairly neat mechanic. A fun way to muck around with stealth, I guess, as well. Like, I can just pop out of time and pop in and fuck with this guy.
It's just invisibility.
Yeah. I quite liked it. It got a release date of November 11th this year.
It had a trailer with another fucking cover song.
Had a trailer with a cover song.
Which one was it this time?
I don't know. I wasn't paying enough attention. But I recognised that it was a cover song, and I was like, well, fuck.
Can't remember. I didn't write it down.
And it was also a classic, like, I don't know whether this was a live demo or a pre-recorded demo, but the guy who was doing it was really bad.
Yeah, it was a live demo.
Where he was like, the funny thing was, the guy presenting it on stage, before the gameplay demo happened, specifically said what was going to happen in the gameplay demo. He's like, what you're about to see is he's going to do this jump move, and then he's going to pick up a barrel, and he's going to throw this guy, and it's going to explode. And then it's like, here's the gameplay demo showing you what you just said happened.
Said was going to happen.
Only not as coolly as it was meant to.
No, I mean, that's not what that game's about, is that kind of open combat, but that didn't look great.
It was great when he grabs the guy, puts him into like a chokehold or whatever, like he's holding him in front of him in the classic stealth protagonist style. He's holding him like a body shield or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, he's going to throw him off that cliff! And he ragdolls against the wall. Doesn't actually go over the wall and off the cliff.
Yeah.
Like, good job.
I mean, to their credit, it does look like they're not too relying on the mechanics of the first game. They did go out of the way and say most of the powers you get in this game are things that are new to this game, and a lot of the powers in the first game don't exist. They just haven't been pushed forward. You're playing a different character, and therefore you have different set of powers.
And you can play as the other character as well. There's two characters.
Well, there's two characters, but
the other character still has his powers, but they're very slightly different from the first game.
You're not the same. Is it the same guy?
Yeah, I think it is.
I thought it was a different guy.
No. he picks up the mask and he's like, oh, familiar faces. Except it's not the mask, it's like part of a robot now or whatever.
Oh, alright.
I think it's the same guy.
Who's going to play as that guy, though? Because they're going to want to play as the new person then. And they can see what the new powers are. Because the domino power looks way too effective.
Well, yeah, that does look way too powerful. It's like, when do you unlock that? I guess?
Yeah.
That could be the last power.
So, for the listener, the domino power is you can just look at several guys and link their fates. So you basically only have to do something to one of them, and it happens to all of them. Which, for me, as a suck-ass stealth player, sounds great!
Yeah, but not very entertaining, really.
No, probably not. I mean, like, during that sequence where he just fated everyone together and there was the target right there, and it's like, why don't you just domino that guy?
Yeah, just domino everyone.
And then there's the weird shadow form, whatever that was.
Also doesn't seem like...
Which in that demo... turned into a creepy Japanese horror character for a bit.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
In that demo, it seemed entirely unnecessary. It's like, you're going to go into shadow form while I'm 5 feet away from the guy I have to kill, and that's just going to let me kill him, because I could have done that anyway with any other one of my weapons.
I could have just shanked him, but no, instead I'm going to rip his limbs off.
And, grappling hook.
I don't think I'm not the target market for a game like this. I wasn't really interested in the first game. I think it showed well, but it's not for me.
Well, it showed well in like fucking half an hour.
Yeah, they spent a long time.
Way too long!
They spent the Fallout 4 time on Dishonored 2 this year, right? Maybe less so, actually. Less time on it than they spent on Fallout 4 last year. And the audience gets t-shirts, apparently. It's no good for me.
No.
What if I want a t-shirt?
Well, you could have tuned into the after party and potentially got entered into a draw to get a t-shirt or something. I didn't really pay attention to what they were saying about that.
Well, I couldn't have done because I didn't watch it live.
No, exactly.
It was that t-shirt that they've been... It was that image that... The t-shirt was the image that they've been showing for a while, where it's all the Bethesda characters in a line, like, to do something.
Yep.
No Evil Within announcement was the one thing that everyone thought was going to happen, but didn't.
And no Elder Scrolls 6.
No,
that was
no
our theoretical speculation on that one.
That wasn't going to happen, yeah.
No, but I think it's going to be a certainty we'll see it next year now, right?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, not a bad show. I think they presented it well. I think they handled themselves. You're right, they spent too much time and stuff, but, when you're a publisher, you've probably only got so much time. You've probably only got so much you can show, and they handled it way better than EA did. Sure. Is all I'll say there. EA need to look at what they're doing, and even look at what Ubisoft are doing, and be like, we need to present like them. Much more engaging shows. Right, so where are we at? We are an hour and a half in.
Well, we've got to do at least one more, because then that'll leaving it out to 3 on each side. Except technically 2, I guess.
Alright, so then we've made it up to the first big boy conference, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, go.
Time for Microsoft.
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 Microsoft
2016.
Microsoft 2 can't keep the camera on the goddamn screen again.
No, yeah, they kept preferring the wide shot, didn't they?
Completely useless to see what's on the screen. It's like, we get to see some of the crowd. Woo!
In fact, the bit where it was the worst, and we'll come to this later, was during the Recore trailer, where they just couldn't help themselves. Whenever there was one of those character intros on screen, they would cut to the wide shot, and it's like, because they had stuff going on.
They had their lighting spread over the stage or whatever.
And they had some pyromaniac stuff going
Pyromaniac?
Pyrotechnics.
They had a pyromaniac on staff. He just started setting fire to shit.
Always handy.
So it had the normal. I guess it was the normal routine Xbox has had for the last few years. Now,
it didn't even make any sense
with their pyromaniacs.
Yes. It didn't even make any sense because, like, the Microsoft one is one of the conferences that's shown on TV,
and it's
like, why would you want to see bits of the crowd on TV?
You don't.
It's just not. Doesn't help anyone.
I mean, they've fallen into the Sony hole. Their producer had fallen into the Sony hole because the Sony
never fall in the Sony hole.
No, because
bad idea.
Sony learnt not to do this, didn't they? A couple of years ago, they were doing exactly this, showing way too many crowd shots, showing way too many wide shots. The producer this year probably was the guy Sony fired. I don't know.
He's moved to Microsoft to fuck that up.
Yeah. So cutting aside, Microsoft still know how to put on a good show. It's got to be said.
I guess.
There's a good flow to it.
They still had their weird stage where there was seats behind the stage.
Yeah,
whereas
I think it's the same
people
stage
have to
that-
turn around and look behind them.
I think it's the same, pretty much the same staging they've used for the last 2 years.
Yep, seems like it.
So maybe that needs a shake up, but whatever. It seems to work for them. They had their little stages that they didn't really use this year because there was no Fable Legends to show them off.
Yeah,
But,
not as much. They did use them a couple of times. Except a lot of the time that was where you couldn't see it because they kept cutting away from those as well.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas like, now we need to see a wide shot. No, cut away.
And the one time where it made no sense at all. But anyway, we'll get to that. So they opened with, hey, we're making a new Xbox. Here comes the S.
Yep.
It's 40% smaller. That is quite a size reduction.
It's pretty small.
That probably makes it about the same size as a PS4. Because the PS4 is quite small. When you put it next to an X-Bone, the PS4 is quite small.
And the Xbone's bloody huge.
The X-Bone is massive. But
It's not as big as an original Xbox, but it's pretty big. Is it? It's about the same.
It's about the same, yeah.
It's a little smaller. No, I don't know.
I don't know, actually. I think the X-Bone might be bigger.
I think the original Xbox could have been that small if they hadn't have put excess plastic on.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There was a lot of plastic, yeah.
That's true.
Well, nearly knocked over the microphone.
Microphone up. Just. But I've never had a problem with the X-Bone sides. Like, it looks fine under my telly, right?
Well, in amongst all your other giant black boxes, yes.
Yeah.
More importantly, Xbox One S can stand on its side like an Xbox 360.
It can, yes. They've made it so it can verticalize.
Verticalize. So stupid.
Let's get vertical.
They haven't brought back the inhale, though.
And also they put the power brick inside or whatever, right?
Oh, have they?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, well, that's great, because the power back for the X-Bone is massive as
Yeah.
well.
So that solves that.
Also, alright, okay, so it's... I hope they do a black version as well, because it's like, the white looks good, but, you know, can we have a black version, please? It fits in with the rest of my stuff.
Well, that's if you want that one or the next.
We'll
Anyway,
come back to that one.
Jesus Christ.
The rumours.
It's not a rumour, they announced it, didn't they?
Sort of, yeah. But it was a rumour at the point, like as of last week, it was a rumour.
Okay.
The one... there's a couple of points to take away from this. Like, one of them is that they started making a big deal of the phrase HDR gaming.
Whatever the fuck that means.
I had to research this. It does have a meaning. Because at the time I was thinking, man, this is such bullshit, right? This is just them trying to have some sort of marketing term that they can throw in PlayStation's face, right?
It's like, we know what HDR is because Half-Life 2 did it.
Yeah. Except in the display technology world, it actually does have a meaning. In that the
colour gamut?
Yeah. Actually, they're increasing the colour gamut from the standard, like, whatever it is now.
RGB, sRGB colour space.
Yeah, it's actually got a little bit bigger. So,
Your cat wants to go in a box.
Cat is falling
Cat's
into
found a box.
Yes, that's exactly what would happen if you put a box in the same room as a cat. The cat is going into the box.
I'm going to properly seal this box so the cat doesn't fall into it.
What is the Vitamix 5000?
Well, apparently that was a blender. That's not what's in the box.
Okay.
No. Naturally. Never
That
want
sounds like a joke name for a product.
The Vitamix!
No, Vitamix 5000.
The fact it's got 5,000 on the end.
Yeah.
Really sets the tone.
Anyway.
It's actually a box filled of old school gubbins.
Yep, naturally.
That I'm trying to slowly go through to see if I can find any gold. I found very little gold.
Well, that's how it always goes.
Yeah.
You always think there's a lot of gold in there, but there's actually only a very small portion of gold.
There's a single picture of me in year 9, I think, that I found. A photo. There you go. I look young.
Surprise.
Yeah. They're increasing. Apparently, like, modern TV tech has a higher color gamut range, and the HDR gaming means that, you know, they can output to this higher range. Part of that is because it's technically a requirement, or one of the things that, maybe not a requirement, but it's one of the things that the new Blu-ray tech can do. And this thing also has 4K Blu-ray capability, so it can play UHD Blu-rays and that stuff. So theoretically, the next wave of Xbox games will be designed for this HDR color gamut range.
Makes sense. Sure, fine.
Sure.
Boom.
How noticeable that is, who knows? But, I looked into a little bit, and it's like, I think the standards were a little bit hard to figure out, but it seems like the colour space is increasing from 8-bit to 10-bit, so the RGB channels are a bit bigger, and that maybe this has more of an effect on luminance rather than actual colour space. Stuff like that.
So rather than 256, it would be...
yeah. Well, what was it? It's like 32 million at the moment anyway, or something.
Yeah.
So it will be like, another 128 million colour space, maybe? Something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You'll need a new TV.
Yeah, it's been a real long time since anyone's done anything like that, but I'm not 100% sure that's even remotely necessary, right?
Noticeable, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably is noticeable. But
contrast, sure.
Yeah.
Colour space, probably not.
Maybe not so much.
No.
Yeah. Right.
So that's happening. Also, this device doesn't have a Kinect port on the back. So the Kinect is totally dead.
Yep.
In Microsoft's eyes.
Fully dead.
Which then asks the question, how on earth is the voice recognition stuff going to go? Because they're still porting Cortana to the Xbox dashboard.
Well, it's probably not going to be for the Slim, it's probably going to be for the other one.
Maybe they'll have a
But
microphone.
then why do it? It's like, if they're moving away from that whole model...
All you need is a microphone, though, right?
I guess. That is the only thing I can think of, is that they will connect it to the headset mic. Unless this thing has a microphone built into the front of the console, which they haven't said or confirmed. Now, the new console does have an IR blaster on it, so it can do the things that the current Kinect currently does, in that it could turn on my entertainment system, it could link my TV and my audio, it can still do all of that. It could still, in theory, change the channel on one guide. So that's good. They're keeping that stuff. That's the stuff I like. But I really hope it keeps voice recognition, because when it works, I really like that. I might be the one guy, but I really like that.
Why are you keen on... You don't want this new one, though. You already got one.
No. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I kind of hope Microsoft stay with that.
Yeah.
Because I really like... I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I still like the fact that the Kinect sees me, and that I can hold QR codes in front of it that claims the crap that comes with games.
Yeah.
I like all that stuff. I don't want Kinect to go away. I'm the one guy. I don't care about it for games, but as a functionality thing, it's kind of neat.
The funny thing is that all of that stuff could be done with a standard webcam with a mic, right?
Sure.
Doesn't need any of the 3D or any of the clever stuff about Kinect.
No, you're probably right. And even to a certain degree, you could probably even build the Smart Glass app or whatever it is they have, or the Xbox app or something, to just sort of say, here's a QR code, right? Just hold it in front of your phone and that will claim it, and then your console knows.
Yeah.
There are other ways to do things.
I guess. Not as nice.
No, not as nice. The Kinect recognition is super fast when it works. So and they basically came straight out with a price which is $299, which is what they've reduced the current Xbox price to officially.
Yeah.
So if you buy in now, you're not going to save money.
No.
But you're just going to buy a big Xbox. Oh, and I think they said the new one's got like a 2 terabyte drive in it as well, which is nice. Because up to now, they've only issued a special edition version with a 1 terabyte drive.
This is pretty...
$299 is a good price for that box, really.
This is pretty standard stuff from the last generation of consoles.
Yeah.
You make a slimmer console with more media capability.
Yep.
Standard. Yeah. And that's cool.
But the fact that they've price dropped the original one, and then they're not going to charge more for the Slim when it comes out later this year.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure they gave a release date, so I'm assuming later this year.
Yeah, that would make sense. Christmas this year, or holiday.
Yeah.
I saw that they said that the controller was slightly different.
Yeah, there's a new
version.
It looks the same, but I think they've added its capability to it, so you can now Bluetooth sync it. So if you've got a Bluetooth device in your PC, that's another way of syncing it.
So you don't need a dongle anymore for PC,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Or for Mac, maybe even. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
And also, they have some stupid program so you can make your own custom controllers.
Yes.
Which is pretty...
That came later.
Okay, sorry.
But we might as well talk about it.
Well, I just thought,
It's sort of linked. But yeah, the Controller Design Lab, they call it, which I actually went and dicked around with for a bit.
Because I use a 360 controller on PC, and I remember I saw an article on Eurogamer going through what's the best controller for PC, and they were like, well, the Xbox One is specifically designed to replace and be better than the 360 one, but the 360 one's still the best one.
don't get me wrong, I really like the new controller, but there are compatibility problems apparently with the new controller, and that is the only because they changed the it's not X input anymore, it's direct input, and there are actually quite a lot of games that don't support that and can't support that.
Yeah.
Because Windows didn't think of that for some reason.
Right.
They really should have. Like, just make it so it's X input happy as well as direct input. I don't know. That doesn't sound that hard. And yeah, so they didn't do that, and that is the only problem. Otherwise, I've sort of been tempted. Maybe I should given that some of my Xbox 360 controller rubber is falling apart, and even though I Sugrued a couple of them, the Sugru's now fallen off as well.
Yeah,
it's just like maybe I should get a dongle and just start using my Xbone controllers.
Just get a dongle, yeah.
I've got too many Xbone controllers that we don't use, so I might as well start using them on the PC.
Buy a fresh Xbox 360 controller for Windows.
Yeah, the sort of boxed ones, like controller for Windows.
The mysteriously very slightly different ones.
Yeah,
that were wired, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Although I've got a dongle and stuff like that, don't I? So.
Yeah, but who knows whether that dongle is even going to stay functional for that much longer?
My one works fine.
Yeah,
but it'd be nice if I could just
one.
Yeah,
it works a lot better than the wireless headsets did. Those things broke super fast. Someone just made a noise. Who made a noise?
It was Dan.
Okay.
I don't think it was me.
It was.
No, there's no notifications.
Who made a noise? Anyway. So then to the games. Gears of War 4 occurred.
Nothing up there.
It's probably Gnome's iPad. Sat in the back of this room. Gears of War 4 occurred with a slightly better demo than we saw before, but still not a great demo.
Looked lame.
It looked a lot like Gears.
Yeah, looked like Gears.
Yeah.
But that is also part of the problem, that it's just not evolved in any way. It's the same game it was and always has been.
It had terrible banter, as usual.
Terrible banter.
Except actually worse now.
Actually worse, yeah. The banter from the original game was pretty great.
It was so scripted and like they were like, oh,
it was like Nathan Drake level banter.
Hey, that's not so bad in the new one.
I don't think the Coalition are that talented a team. Like, obviously since they took the reins, it's like, what have we had? We've had that remastered edition that wasn't technically very good, apparently.
Right.
Like, even though it's just you're taking the original games and you're trying to upmaster them, their grasp of the tech didn't seem to work. And now this, it's not. I don't know, and they're saying like the Swarm, it's a new bad guy, but they look like the Locust.
Yep, pretty much.
I don't have faith in that, and also like all of the storytelling. Again, we called it. It's all daddy complex stuff again.
Yep, because there's Marcus suddenly.
Yeah,
looking old.
Oh god, nothing about this. It seems to be playing in a fun direction. I don't know.
And they also hilariously silent censored it. Because it was on TV.
Oh, yes.
We better silence out this swearing, because not even a beep or anything. It's just suddenly no sound.
Just cut. Maybe that was like in the auditorium they played it or something, but like out to TV they had to duck it. Yeah. But this was when they the one good bit of news that came out of the Gears 4 announcement was this is where they started introducing Xbox Anywhere.
But
or Play Anywhere,
not linked to the Gears of War thing, it's just that this happened to be the first game on their list, really.
This was the first thing on their list, and then they had to end what they were showing with available on Xbox One and PC, and then went on to explain what they're doing with that. So they'd done that before, obviously, with the Gears of War remaster. What did they call it? Definitive Edition or something like that? Whatever it was called. They've obviously done this before, and obviously Quantum Break came out recently on dual platforms, but this was them basically saying, no, this is going to be a thing that we do all the time. And they pretty much... Well, I'm not sure they said it, but they implied that all Microsoft first-party titles are going to be available on both the Xbone and Windows 10 platforms, with the added bonus that if you digitally buy any of them, it will play on both.
Whoa. That's cool.
That's a big deal.
I can play Forza on my PC?
Yes. As we will come to that later.
Can't wait.
They've finally done it. And it's like I honestly believe they weren't going to go all in on this. I thought they were going to do like dribs and drabs here and there, games that they thought might work on PC. Halo, for instance. When Halo 6 comes around.
Oh my god. On PC?
That could now happen.
That's freaking crazy.
Although, as I sort of alluded to there, I'm not sure they went out of their way to say. I'm not sure they actually specifically said the words that all first-party titles.
No.
But everything they showed, and this is everything we know about. Spoiler alert, I guess. Everything they showed during this show that was their title, that was a first-party title, is getting this.
What's more, I saw this. I don't think this was in the show, and they probably wouldn't want to shout about it necessarily. But I read that someone had asked them, and they'd confirmed, I think, that it won't even just be on the Windows Store. It'll be on like Steam as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is insane, right?
But that's them admitting that their UWP plan is failing
No,
miserably.
it's not admitting failure, is it? It's just...
It kind of is.
Or is it just them being smart?
I think it might be them being smart.
It's kind of admitting failure because of the whole Valve, Microsoft, Gabe, Newell face-off situation where they were all pissed off with each other.
But then surely it will make claiming on Steam tricky, right? Like, how do they do that? Are they going to have to come up with some sort of integration behind the scenes?
Well, yeah.
How does save syncing work in that scenario? Because that is something they claimed is going to be a big part of this as well. It's cross-firing or transfiring.
Transfiring, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, but that's a good point, Zach. Actually, Microsoft are winning or have won that battle against Gabe Newell because Gabe was all like, Windows is getting anti-competitive to gaming and stuff. We're going to make Steam boxes work. We're going to make Linux work. And then everyone will be free of Microsoft. And that has totally not worked out.
Well, the thing is that they basically, like, Gabe Newell had the much harder job. He had to make new PCs, and Microsoft just had to make Steam. Making a new Steam is much easier than making an entirely new physical box.
Steam box was always going to be an uphill struggle, but an admirable one.
But it wasn't
it's a little bit of a shame that they haven't managed to pull it off.
But the thing is, Steambox, the hardware, wasn't as important as SteamOS.
No.
And SteamOS has not worked out. Yet, anyway. I don't think it's got much momentum in terms of for hardcore gamers running it on their PCs.
There's still not enough games that actually support it. Of the actual hardcore games that could probably make best use of it.
So I feel like Microsoft are kind of winning there, and if they are benevolent or whatever. And I don't think they're. You say that it is easier to make Steam than to make a whole, hardware and all that. Well, but it's really hard to make Steam, even so. Microsoft are going to fail to make Steam.
Mean,
they already have it.
As good as Steam, I meant another version, like Origin.
You could argue Microsoft already have it, right? UWP combined with Xbox Live is Steam.
Yeah,
that's true. But the fact that they'll let things onto Steam as well is rather than try and do an EA.
That's
still rumour.
Yeah, that does, and that also depends how it works because it could be like Ubisoft where when you launch an Ubisoft game through Steam, it just opens fucking
Uplay.
Yeah.
It probably will be like that. Well, to be fair, that's what the frickin' old Windows thing did. What was it called?
Games for Windows Live.
Yeah,
you'd buy it on Steam and it would just launch. Well, GFAL ran inside the game.
Yeah, because it was really just like an overlay. It wasn't like a separate store or anything.
Man.
I mean, it had a store, but you had to go to the website.
Yeah. Well, there was a standalone client, wasn't there? You could pull up the Games for Windows client at one point.
Yeah.
Outside of games, but yeah, that was subtly different.
It was
this thing.
I heard it again.
Why does it do it? Oh, it's me mucking around.
Flick the switch.
Flick the switch.
So that's a big deal. I'm sort of...
Flick the switch.
Does it have a switch? Do the iPad Pros have a silent switch now?
Yeah, it must do.
No, it doesn't look like it does.
I've never used it, so...
I guess you just have to turn the ringer down.
Yeah, I guess so. Weird.
However that's working, that doesn't seem to work.
What? It's at the bottom.
What? Oh, weird.
It's already happening.
All the iPad Pros. We're still learning.
Does your iPad have a switch on it?
My iPad has a silent switch. Yeah.
It doesn't have one.
Weird. No, they changed that at some point.
Oh, strange. Anyway.
Yeah. So more. Then off the back of all this, they then said, "Oh, and we're also doubling down on crossplay. So Gears is going to work crossplay on PC and Xbone across all modes."
Which will be mysterious, the old controller versus mouse and keyboard situation.
Yeah. I guess it's less important than Gears, but it might still have a Twitch benefit to being mouse and keyboard. But yeah, that's the thing. But at least it means campaign could be playable cross-platform. Like, Zach and I could be playing on an Xbox, Zach could be playing on the PC.
Theoretically, yeah.
So then, slight segue, they were like, hey, do you remember General Ram from the first game?
Virtually not at all.
very well.
Well, he's in Killer Instinct now. No surprise, we knew he was already coming. I don't even know they'd officially announced him as being in, but everyone knew he was coming. So, and actually the trailer they had for him in the game was pretty bad.
Yep, it really was. Didn't show anything of his actual gameplay.
No.
Unless you count potentially one move and a deflection technique.
Well, the throw, I think, his knife stab throw, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Which is, actually, that's quite a good callback to that scene in the first game.
I mean, logically, from what they showed, I would assume that his special thing is like the krill are going to absorb something. It's going to be like a shield.
Oh, maybe.
Because it absorbs that Hadouken attack, basically, doesn't it?
While he was charging.
Yeah.
But then there have been characters in the game that, like, when you're doing a specific move, you gain one hit of shield, so you've got to hit them twice to stumble them out of their attack. So that's a mechanic that's already in the game, and that might be tied to a shadow version of a move, that kind of stuff. I still like Killer Instinct, I still think it's great, but yeah, they didn't really give any clues as to how Ram actually plays. It was somewhat badly presented. So then we got to Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon 3! In Australia this time.
Yep.
I mean, it looks like Forza... I guess my only problem with this is it looks a lot like Forza Horizon, like just more of the same. They've now got dirt cars, I guess, and buggies and that kind of stuff.
So driving off-road can make some kind of sense.
Rather than in a sports car.
Rather than driving a Lamborghini down on the beach.
Which they still did.
Yeah.
They did that anyway.
Yeah. But it is getting a PC version.
Sweet.
And wheel support. So, yay.
Well, that depends on what exactly they term wheels for, because
the guy was apparently playing with... Like, they had a guy on stage playing with a wheel of some kind.
Yeah, but that's why
on a PC.
Because you remember how much of a giant problem it was in Dirt when they were like, we have to go onto the forums and make a poll and have people tell us what wheels they have so we can actually specifically build support for each of these individual types of wheels.
Yeah. When I get my new machine, I still have to go back and test whether my Sidewinder it still
works.
Yeah, it's like the hardware itself still works, but I think they may have screwed something up in the Windows 10 driver layer that makes it not work so well anymore.
Yeah,
I might play that on PC.
Yeah,
I mean, in the absence of
I haven't tried Apex
Burnout or anything good.
Yeah, I haven't tried the Apex thing yet, which was obviously their tech experiment, which doesn't support wheels, by the way, but you can still pick up a controller and play it up to 4K on a PC, and it's free, so might as well give it a go, see what you think of Forza on a PC. I've got it installed, I just haven't tried it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's a thing.
But that's Forza rather than Horizon.
Forza. Yeah. Also, I guess Forza Horizon 2, lest we forget, ran at 30 frames per second last time out.
Yeah.
So if they follow their current trajectory, then there's a good chance that will be true this time round as well on Xbox. But on PC, not a problem.
Well, maybe, unless they lock it.
And everyone will hate them.
Yep.
Yeah, they can't afford to do that. Out September 27th this year.
And their trailer had another goddamn covers. Fuck goddamn.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
They always had.
They need to stop doing that.
Why?
Because everyone does it, and it's well overdone.
Can't they have just used an original? Like, Forza is the sort of game where they could have just picked any current
Yeah, they could
song.
have actually just had a normal song.
They could have just had some drum and bass, Anything would have done.
I mean, who started that cover song thing? It was freaking John Lewis Christmas adverts 5 years ago that started that cover song
probably.
thing. I mean,
it's got to be older than that, surely.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Gears of War 1, essentially.
Yeah, actually. Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
If we're being totally accurate.
Fuck you.
Guess
that was a cover, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a very cover.
It's a very cover.
It's so covery.
That's a cover that's like... That's a cover on a level of, like, All Along the Watchtower or
oh boy,
Nothing Compares to You or
no, but wait, which Watchtower cover are you thinking of? Because I can only think of the Ed Sheeran and
No, I'm saying
which was bad.
Jimi Hendrix.
Right? Yeah.
I'm saying it's a
Like,
cover.
in that you shouldn't cover it, or
No, in that the cover is much more famous than the original.
oh, of course, yeah. Watchtower itself was
It's a Dylan song.
Yeah, of
And
course
Nothing
it was.
Compares to You is a Prince song.
Yeah,
And what's the Whitney Houston I Will Always Love You is a
that's a cover.
that's
It's a much older song.
that's Dolly Parton song.
Huh?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Not that one, anyway. I did remember about the Hendrix one eventually, but yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah. Anyway.
So my note, I think, is auto-corrected on the next one. Zach, you might need to help me.
Yeah.
Because mine says, record still coming.
Recall.
Okay, no. It's not
What
far
else
off.
was that going to be?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know if it came out elsewhere in my notes and I didn't scan down fast enough. Not a great trailer.
No.
I'm still sort of interested in that game because that
Grappling
first trailer was good. Yeah, well, grappling hook robot thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just a grappling hook. It's just the robot is almost inconsequential. It's just like an animation.
yeah,
It just teleports in front of where the grappling hook goes.
it looked alright. Like that, just as a way of spicing up how that works.
Well,
it's
yeah,
fine.
it's a mechanic to travel around the world. Presumably, like one of their, that'll be a puzzle.
Yeah, there wasn't enough gameplay footage in it still for a game that's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yeah.
And that they did show looked a little generic and like, what are you doing? What's this game about?
Yeah, it's just like fly around and shoot some robots occasionally.
Their reveal was way better.
Well, except that showed you even less of the game.
Oh yeah, no, it showed you nothing of the game, but the concept at least seemed a little more appealing then. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to come out. I like the song they picked for the trailer, but
Was it the cover? Not sure about that.
no, I don't think it was.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I didn't recognise it, and therefore probably not.
No.
Not that I know much about fucking music, but I can usually recognise covers for some reason. I know enough to know.
I
when
can
it's the
tell you
cover.
didn't write that.
Yeah.
Somebody else did that first.
Actually, that's probably true 95% of the time in music these days.
Sure.
Pop music, anyway. Do you want to see the worst Final Fantasy 15 demo that there's been so far?
Jesus Christ, it was terrible.
Oh man, that didn't work at all.
The only thing I've seen is the car. Is that
Right.
That's not in this demo.
Oh,
No, there was a what they called it, the Titan encounter, like
Yeah.
a really big boss.
Fight a big ass enemy.
And I sort of assumed, oh wait, they're going to go a bit Shadows of the Colossus on this, or
Yep.
God of War, and then there's going to be some climbing of it. And
No, I mean he does.
I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't work out if he was just being bad at it and he couldn't do the things that he was trying to demo, like the warp attack or
Yeah,
something.
because he does it like once for a moment. He like
Yeah.
teleports onto it, and it's like, oh, here comes the climbing sequence, but then he just like falls off and never actually manages to trigger it
Yeah,
again.
and then seems to get hit a lot. And
Yeah.
then after a while, it looked like the game was just doing what most of these Ken demos do. That it's like, crap, I've got to hit a cue in time with the music, and
Yeah,
the game just basically helped him out.
Like he's going to die now.
Yeah, the stuff's going to happen, and the music's going to come to a crescendo. It was a bad demo.
Yep, it really was.
I still have high hopes for that game. I think it's doing a lot of good things, but that was not a good demonstration.
And it didn't show any of how you actually play that game again, apart from that one button prompt for like the warp attack. It's
Yeah.
like, what else is he
What else
actually
was he-
doing,
he's just sort of
or what is he
walk-
meant to be doing?
I think there were some moments where you couldn't really see it, but I think he was throwing fire into the distance
Right.
occasionally.
Yeah.
But
That could have been auto. That could have
Yeah.
been just like the Final Fantasy 13 auto attacks at that point.
or his teammates.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. It was a poor demo, but I like the cut of where that game is going. We'll just have to see how it ends up. Some crappy Division news.
Yep, talk some more about Division. It's just like it was weird because they like announced a different DLC from the one that was announced in the Ubisoft one later. Like there's actually
Sort of,
two.
yeah. There is actually two. So this was them doing. They're adding basically a random mode to the game, randomly generated missions based
for
on
grinding.
based in the underground for grinding. And it's coming. Didn't they say it's coming to the Xbox early? Is that why it's here?
Yeah.
Yeah, not interesting at all.
Nope.
Battlefield 1. They didn't have anything more to say, so they just showed that bloody trailer again.
Battlefield 1, also otherwise known as Battle 1, apparently.
Battle 1.
He kept saying Battle 1. He said it like 3 times when he meant to say Battlefield 1. And everyone was like, what?
What are you talking about?
Apparently now it's just called Battle 1.
It's just going to get shorter and shorter, so it's Bat 1.
Yep, exactly.
Bat 1.
Just start calling it BF1.
Baton. Just B1.
Battlefield own.
Badlow.
Buffon.
Buffon.
I like that. Buffon. Some good buffonery going on. And a quick plug for EA Access and the fact that it's only on Xbox and that it's got a week of free trials or something.
Yeah.
Which will have expired by the time you hear this.
Yep.
And then it's time for the classic network and services update.
Yep, back in.
Time, which they didn't spend a lot of time on this time, but they always have to do it. It seems like we've expanded the cloud or something. But this year they didn't really. This year is mostly informative stuff. So, hey, they're adding Cortana to the dash. Background music is coming back. Like the older Xbox 360 feature is returning at last.
Seriously?
Yep. Which will make playing games like Forza way more bearable, because that once the soundtrack gets boring, you just want to be able to put on some tunes, right?
Yes.
That was how I played all of Project Gotham.
Oh, totally.
3, just put custom soundtracks on.
Project Gotham 1. Jeez.
I think, even actually, I think I even did that for Burnout. Like the 360 version.
But of course,
just stick tunes on.
It's not actually custom soundtracks. It's just a background player. It
won't,
won't be triggered by the game.
But that's all it was on the 360.
But not in the older one.
In the original Xbox, it was triggered by the game.
The original one
was freaking awesome.
I mean, there are some games on the 360 that really tried their hardest to be we can do stuff with the background player, but they didn't work. Because the API wasn't there or whatever. Was it Every Extend Extreme tried to make it so you could sync it to a track playing on the background player. He said it just didn't work at all.
God damn it, that would be cool. It
depends. Well, we don't know how far they'll go with it. Presumably, they'll just do the 360 thing this time.
It will just be a snapped app.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, you're probably right. A Snap app. And what else did they add? They're adding clubs, basically clans.
Yep. Or basically
Steam groups,
or the Miiverse, basically.
What?
It's a game-based group that you can post dumb shit to.
I guess. Yeah. So to expand their social thing might be useful for some people, maybe not me. And the other big thing is they're adding looking for group. As a way of being able to broadcast on the service, hey, I need a co-op team.
Otherwise known as Troll Enable Engine. Just open yourself up for terrible shit to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that could be an okay idea. If you want to engage with the co-op stuff, but you're the only person in your friend group that actually has the console. Seems plausible. It's hey, can we do... I want to see what this is like co-op. I'm going to throw up an LFG.
And then trolls.
Don't do it in the Division.
No, exactly.
You'll get ganked immediately.
Yep. Don't go into the dark zone with any LFGs.
No, that sounds like a terrible idea. And that'll be part of the core service, so in theory available everywhere.
Because they already... they had beacons that no one cared about. And it's this is just better.
What were beacons?
Beacons was looking for group, but only for your friends list. You could send off a beacon that was I'm going to play this game now. Why don't you come and join me? And then no one cared.
Instead of inviting people, it was basically an open invite, right?
Yeah.
Come join if you want. Which is itself kind of a cool idea, but I just don't have that many Xbox playing people I know anymore where that's relevant. What else we got? Oh, and the other thing they're adding to the Xbox Live platform is esports support. Which they're calling the Xbox Arena.
It's it weirdly crosses over with the EA one.
Oh, very much so.
That's strange.
Well, I wonder if the EA games on Xbox are effectively using... They're probably not. But they could use the Xbox Arena to sort of broadcast themselves, I don't know.
Well, it's because, in this part of the presentation, EA came and talked about it. And it's this is weird. They were talking about one of the football things, I think. I think it might have been Madden, wasn't it, again?
Don't know.
I don't remember, really. But yeah, it's that seems really weird that EA actually earlier in their conference announced their esports back-end thing, and now Microsoft are doing it as well. But apparently EA are okay with that.
EA probably just don't have to use it, right? That's all it.
Maybe.
Microsoft will offer it as part of their service, presumably for Halo. And then it's up to EA whether they use it or not. So, Minecraft time.
Yep. Gotta have a bit of Minecraft.
Yeah, Microsoft got to try and sell it. So it seems like they're still pushing really hard on the other versions of Minecraft as opposed to, like, I guess you'd call the original version.
Well, it's because they're trying to push the Windows 10 version, which is the mobile version, which is the version which doesn't have all the features yet.
They want to
So they're
replace
still trying
Minecraft
to desperately get all the features that are in old Minecraft into the...
into the one that's not written in Java and actually works.
I mean, yeah, so they were sort of saying that it's getting the big update to presumably bring it a little bit more up to speed with what's happening in the other one.
They'll never get all the way to parity before switching.
No,
They'll
of
have
course
to,
not.
I don't know.
They were saying that it's getting that it's going to go cross-play across all of the different mobile versions.
Across those four.
Windows 10, Android, iPad, and the new upcoming VR version for Gear.
Yep.
So then they got John Carmack out to show this.
For some reason.
Because, hey, I work for Oculus.
Fair enough.
Oculus make Gear VR.
That'll be a quite accessible VR versus most.
Yeah.
And Minecraft
that'd
is
be
a very
a good one.
accessible game, and
That'd be a
it
good
makes sense. Kids are going to be on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they also introduced the concept of cloud-hosted servers called Realms.
Yeah, which already existed in the other version for ages.
Is that a paid-for thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You buy time for it to host the server.
Right, so not as cool as... That would have been great if they had just opened that up and been all like, well, we can run this as a cloud service for free for Minecraft users.
Or just allow you to run your own servers at this point. I mean.
Well, yeah.
But no, they need to make money off it.
And they also sort of said, kinda, that mods will come to these versions too.
Yes, kind of. In the same way as the Skyrim thing, where it's like, how much...
It won't be the same at all.
I mean,
right?
obviously, it's not even the same mods, because this is the other version of Minecraft.
Yeah, there's
none
no
of the classic buildcraft and all that lot.
There's no scripting parity at all, so it's not going to be possible to just port them, I guess.
No.
And they sort of had to subtly skate over the fact that the console versions are going to get all the updates slightly slower than the mobile versions. The mobile versions are getting them all right now and stuff, but the console versions are lagging behind. And they meant all the console versions, so the 360 version, the Bone version, the PS4 version.
You mean those are different updates though? Again, those are updates towards parity with the old PC version rather than these other four versions that are updating towards whatever they're working towards.
I think they were trying to say that all those versions, because none of them are the Java version, right? They're all kind of the same.
No, but the
consoleized version.
The older console versions have still been following more of a direct path towards where the PC version is, rather than the mobile versions, which are taking a slightly different route.
Yeah.
There's stuff in the mobile version that isn't in the console version. That, it's not... Those two sets aren't in parity either, compared to the PC version as well. They're always just three different versions, almost.
It sounds like they want to try and get all the console versions and the mobile versions together, at least.
Sure, but I mean...
And the Windows 10 version.
I doubt there's ever going to be crossplay between the old console and the new console version.
Oh, no, you'd hit... Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. Because, the old consoles just aren't cross-play happy, are they?
Well, I mean, apart from that, I don't think those versions are ever going to meet up well enough to be able to allow it.
Maybe not. But now the Bone and the PS4 are happy. There's more chance there than there is anywhere else. Maybe not the Wii U version.
Yeah, again, another weird spin-off version.
Yeah. And then an utterly baffling trailer for Inside that I think we may have seen before.
Well, I don't think it even showed as much as the previous trailer that they showed of that game.
It's made by the Limbo guys. It's coming out in about a week.
Yep.
2 weeks. Everyone who's seen more of it, seems to be somewhat raving about it, saying, "Oh, this is great. You got to check this out." But as a consumer, I know nothing.
Yep, because they didn't show shit.
Nope. Just an office with some people in it, and then a mysterious window. That's it. That's all we know. Oh, but if you want Limbo now, Limbo is free. Go get Limbo.
Cool.
which led conveniently into the ID at Xbox section. Which, okay, I gotta be honest, my notes are terrible here because they basically showed a very fast montage of everything that's happening.
Yeah, I didn't take any notes about it, really.
They showed some Cuphead, there was some Bloodstained, there was Yooka-Laylee, I think Below made a very quick appearance on it. There was some other stuff that I hadn't seen before and didn't catch the name of. There's some stuff happening. But basically, all I really want to see is Cuphead and Below come out. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Yooka-Laylee and Bloodstained did look a lot like a Castlevania game.
Just a Yooka-Laylee on PC, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Might as well.
And then they wanted to end with saying, hey, we're getting, that Ark survival game is doing really well. We're sort of doing stuff with it. I'm not really sure what they said there.
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I don't know, because I didn't look it up, but, that might have just been a patch that is also happening on the PC version for all we know.
Oh, was this the Redwood patch they were talking about? Because that's a new area that's coming to all the versions.
And some kind of giant dinosaur, as you would expect.
Okay. And then we saw, well, I guess there's another sort of indie title. I don't know if it's being supported by ID at Xbox or if it's just Microsoft supporting them full on. But, and I'd heard of this game before, but I hadn't really been paying attention.
Last year.
Yeah, I hadn't really been paying attention to it, but they did what was, I think, was a really awesome trailer for We Happy Few.
So what is We Happy Few?
So, I don't know what it is as a game. It's some sort of like walk-around first-person adventure game of some kind. But the setting is what's the creepy part about it, right? You're in a society where everyone is drugged up all the time. They're taking a pill called Joy.
Like Soma in, what's it? What's the Aldous Huxley one? Brave New World.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit like that, to keep them all on. And it seems to be a little bit, or actually quite a lot like the drug they take in Haze, which makes...
The Haze.
The Haze, yeah. The Nectar, I think they call it.
I forgot about that stupid game.
Yeah, where one side is drugged up the entire time so they don't see the horrors of war and think everything they're doing is like some noble quest and that kind of stuff, and that everything's great. Joy seems to have that sort of effect, where what you're seeing is way better than what you're actually doing, that kind of thing. So the trailer has this guy, I think, stumbling upon a bit of his own history or something that causes a repressed memory to kick off, and so as a result of that, he doesn't take his joy.
It seemed weird that...
And then he starts seeing how the world really is.
Well, it seemed weird that it presented the not taking the joy as a choice, even though that seems to be the crux of the game.
Yeah.
Like, is it just like an
what happens if you
fail
take it?
If you do?
Yeah, what happens
like the game just ends?
Does the whole game play, or does that sequence repeat? Like, it just goes to the next day or something?
Yeah, maybe. That did seem kind of weird.
But... yeah, there's that sequence with the piñata where it turns it like, oh, we're playing piñata. Go on, why don't you have a go?
We're playing a really squishy piñata, really obviously.
Yeah,
it kind of gave away the twist
a little bit, but it's still cool. That
also, I thought it was going to be much worse than it was.
Oh, sure, that it's just a rat.
It's just a dead rat. So I was like, well, that's not. It could have been like a dog or something. I mean, come on, turn it off a bit.
And then they're shoveling a recently splattered dead rat's remains into their face, and it's and then they realise what's going on because you're there being kind of disgusted, and then it's like you haven't been taking your joy. Security, we've got a downer. Yeah. And it's like, something about this game ticked my boxes. It's like, this looks cool.
Except it's not going to be. It's going to be, from what I hear, it's just like, it's probably a semi-randomly generated stealth game.
Right. So maybe not actually cool at all.
No.
Rather than, if it was a story-driven adventure game, I'd be all on it, because what they've shown so far looks cool. Yeah. That was a real good trailer, or demo, or whatever you want to call it. It was cool. It looked awesome.
The trouble is that, like, it has this concept, but there's not. You can only do that like joke once. Well, not that it's a joke. You can only do the thing where it's like, oh, he's not on his drugs, so he sees the bad things, and it's like you do that once, but then if you keep doing it over and over, it just becomes like he has to pretend not to react to things. It's like that's not really that interesting after a while.
It depends if there becomes ways of manipulating what people see, right? So if they see something as being good, can you use that to advantage to do something bad for you?
Yeah, I guess. But then that turns into, I mean, games that have done that as well, I guess. At a certain point,
it depends how everyone see. Like, why did they all see it as a Why did everyone see it as a pinata? Like, why did they all see it as the same thing? Is there some kind of behavioural aspect to it or psychological aspect to it? You know, there could be some neat stuff in there.
Maybe.
Could be. It's a big could.
Yeah.
Hey guys, that card game from The Witcher's getting a spin-off.
Well, it's becoming a separate
It's becoming
game.
its own game. It's still called Gwent, and it's becoming mechanically more dense, and they really want that Hearthstone money. Play some Gwent.
Yeah, another one.
Yep.
Did it look better than Elder Scrolls, the card game?
Subtly, yeah. I mean, it's a different game. Like, the Elder Scrolls game looked like Hearthstone in terms of how it plays. You have creatures, you fight a dude.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a very different... I haven't played Witcher, and I haven't played any Gwent in it, but it looks like a wildly different game.
Right.
So, yeah, sure. Why not? It looks fine. It looks like a card game. I mean, again, it has that problem with... It doesn't show very well.
and
because it's
and
a
the
card
camera
game.
keeps cutting away from the screen, so you can't even see
Can't
what
see
they're
what's
showing.
going on, yeah, because they wanted to show the guy talking about it. But for people who know how Gwent already works, I'm sure that's a big deal. So then they started showing what I immediately thought was, oh my gosh, this is actually happening?
No.
Like, Tekken cross Street Fighter? They've got Akuma and Heihachi having a fight, and it looks like Tekken-style animation. Oh, wow, this is... Oh, no, wait, it's Tekken 7. Akuma's just a guest character.
Yep.
I thought there was a Tekken Cross Street Fighter.
No,
Street
Fighter
Fighter Cross Tekken happened.
And then they promised to make the other one, and then they didn't.
No, they didn't. No. And this was such a... Oh, like that's such a tease, right? It's like, holy crap, this is actually happening. No, it's just Tekken 7.
Yeah, that's mean.
It's a little bit mean.
But it was in Microsoft, so they don't care.
Yeah, well, sure. The only reason Tekken 7 were showing at the Microsoft conference was to say, hey, we've now got Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and guess what? It's free! Go grab it. So I did.
So you did?
So I've gone and grabbed that game.
Yes, you do.
It's a Tekken game. it's Tekken as hell.
It's got an alliterative name, so that's always good.
Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Exactly.
All the T's. Yeah, so it's getting a story mode was basically the takeaway from this. They're doing one of those fighting games, Mortal Kombat, I guess, style story modes for Tekken. That's fine. Those things work. Good on you. Do that shit. Dead Rising 4 is back. Dead Rising is back with its 4th edition. Yeah, I guess.
And goddamn, what's his face again?
And Frank West is back
Yeah.
with photos.
Well, maybe. With a camera, at least.
With a camera, yeah. They looks like they've gone back to the more jovial Dead Rising after Dead Rising 3 was a bit too brown.
Bit too next gen.
Yep. Yeah, next gen filter. Back to that, which seems to have been going down. This leaked ahead of the show.
Well, that makes
by the
sense.
way, we knew it was coming, but yeah, it was a fun trailer. It was an enjoyable time. And then they showed the Scalebound co-op demo, which I made you watch earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best. Again, it's not the best at time that game has shown, but I like what they're going for. I like its style.
Yeah, it looks like it has potential.
Yeah. It looks like Platinum's A team is what I would like, and I'm always excited about what their A team get up to.
What was their last game? Bayonetta 2?
I guess, yeah. That was probably the last A quality game they made, because since then, they've had that Transformers game, they've had Star Fox.
Oh yeah, Star Fox.
They've had that Turtles game.
Yep.
They must have several B teams now, right?
Probably.
And C teams. Platinum put out a lot of stuff nowadays, but this feels like the Platinum people care about making a game, and it looks good.
The only note I wrote about Scalebound, which I can't tell whether I was being sarcastic or not, or whether this was related to the game or the crowd, because all I wrote was, sounds like enthusiasm. So I'm not even sure what I was referencing there.
Sounds like enthusiasm. Yeah, I'm still excited for that game. Still coming out next year, I think they said, not this year, but because it was originally supposed to be out this year and got delayed, so they didn't really sort of say any more than that. But I like what they're doing. Especially if it has like panzery dragon flying sections and stuff like that. Come on, I'm in. And then we had a brief like multiplayer demo-ish thing or experience playback of Sea of Thieves, Rare's pirate RPG MMO.
With trying as hardest as possible not to be too cringy.
Well, they got YouTubers,
banter.
I think, to do it.
Which was sort of worked.
Sort of works, because I guess these guys do it for a living, therefore it should be bearable.
It was at least bearable.
It wasn't fake. As much as, or at least not obviously fake.
No.
It may have been fake.
Apart from maybe the team that all got drunk before starting. That was quite funny.
Oh, that's a
it's
pirate
like,
thing.
we're pirates, let's go have some rum before we set sail. And they all got, the game started doing the classic drunk thing while they were doing it. It's like, oh crap, there's a ship coming. Let's haul our drunk ass to sea.
Yeah.
I can see what they're going for. There's like, it kind of, is it Guns of Icarus or something? The blimp thing.
One, yeah.
It seems like they're going for that kind of co-op experience. How that works out as an RPG or as an MMO is a little unclear at this point. Like, do you just get into random ship fights and is that the entire game?
Well, that's the big problem with it being like. I'm not entirely sure it's even an MMO. I mean, they've been showing 12, I guess 3 teams of 4, and that could be it for all we know, particularly. But
then why have them just hanging out?
Well, yeah, and it's like, what is the open world part of this?
Yeah.
Because it's clearly meant to... It's not just ship combat. They've shown land.
Yeah.
There's reasons to go there and loot shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the actual other half of this game? And, like, how annoying is PvP? Is it going to be something that you're always going to be... Is it going to be like Dark Souls, where people can just turn up at any time and fuck up your shit?
I think so.
But that's not good.
I think that's pirating.
Yeah, but that's not... I mean, if it were an MMO, theoretically, if there were more than 12 people, if there was just a big open world with lots of people in, that's just going to lead to, like, density problems. It's like, 3 ships fighting, that's fine. More than 3, you might start running into problems.
Oh, sure. Presumably they would have to smartly instance that stuff, right?
Yeah, but how do you instance open water? Do you just sail to a point and then just disappear?
It's not so bad. You just need the servers to know how many players are in the rough vicinity and then get assigned to somewhere where there's only a certain number of players about. It's doable. It's fine. You can do that dynamically.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced it actually is an MMO, so...
Yeah, we really don't know still what that game even is or how it's going to play out long term. But I like the tone.
Sure.
I don't think we saw a lot of it in its previous showings, but this felt the most rare, maybe, view of it that we've seen.
How rare?
Yeah, most rare. It looked okay. But it's we probably won't play it because of the simple fact that it seems to be entirely dependent on, needing a crew. Yeah. But at least it'll be on PC. Like every other first-party title they do.
Rare games on PC.
I know. It's going to happen.
Has that ever happened before?
No. I don't think it has. Oh, no, wait, yes it has. Viva Pinata.
Viva Pinata.
Got a PC version.
Yeah. Can you get that on Steam?
No, but I have a copy.
Lol. Okay.
Of the first Viva Pinata game.
Sweet.
We'd planned to do a video at some point.
Yeah.
Or maybe a series.
When you get to V.
Yeah, when we get to V. So then State of Decay 2. That silence is appropriate.
It just seems like a new version of that game.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Multiplayer focused? That game?
I don't think it.
Zombie survival.
I don't think it was multiplayer. I think it was like you have AI that follows you.
Right.
Like you can form teams that go out with you, and then like they have skills and stuff.
I remember it looking mighty janky.
I don't really know much about it.
No, no. That's why I had nothing to add. Really.
No.
It just looked like a zombie game.
Yep. That was another thing there was far too much of in this E3.
That's the second so far.
Yep.
That's the second zombie game so far.
What, zombies?
Yep.
They're still a thing, apparently. So that's the second zombie game so far. Halo Wars 2. Still in development. Out February 21st next year.
Creative Assembly
are making it, yeah. I think we knew that already.
Yeah.
Windows 10 and PC, we knew that already. This was the first game that they basically said was getting a release on.
So who are the baddies in
Well, not
this?
the
They're
first
like
game, but
Brutes.
it's an offshoot
of the Covenant.
of the Covenant, that is led by a particularly brutal brute.
And they're a bunch of brutes, mostly.
Mostly. But there are elites, and there are...
Oh, there are?
They're about, yeah.
Okay.
They're just led by brutes.
And it's set on some kind of Forerunner installation.
Yeah.
They called it the Ark, and I'm like, we already had the Ark. That was that thing. We went to the Ark.
Maybe there was
It blew up.
other stuff might have been happening on the Ark at the time.
I guess, but they didn't say it like it was a reference to that Ark. They said it was like a new thing. It's like you fight on this installation of the Ark.
I don't think it can't be the same Ark, right? It can't be.
I don't think they'll have forgotten the main setting of the
You
end of
would have
Halo
thought
3.
so, no.
Yeah.
No. It can't be the same Ark.
It just seemed really weird.
That is odd. Yeah. If that was true, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
But if that's accurate, and I've also been running a week-long beta that I thought about trying, but then I thought, well, it's running on the Xbox.
It looks quite buggy.
You don't want to play an RTS on the Xbox when you can now play it on the PC.
I'm not, even if there's an all units button.
No.
I'm not sure if I really want to.
There's got to be an all units button.
Hopefully there's still an
units.
all units button on the PC version as well.
Yeah,
Don't want to miss out.
and hopefully there's still the sound effect as well. All units. And then they had to end on some kind of bomb. So here it comes.
Well, they had a quick sum up of literally everything that had just happened first, which is weird.
You know, they had most shows end that way, right? Let's have a quick wrap up of what's going on.
But it was
now let's
like-
talk about the real ending of the show.
Yeah, it was kind of a very specific saying what they just said.
Yeah,
It wasn't just like
it
a
wasn't a
sizzle reel.
montage.
Yeah.
I like that phrase, sizzle reel.
Yep, sizzle reel.
It's even better when there's actually something sizzling. Like it's like a sizzle reel for a cookery show or something.
Yep.
That's the best. It's a sizzling sizzle reel. Scorpio.
Yep.
Scorpio!
The rumours about Project Scorpio and it being a new, more powerful Xbox. Totally accurate, as it turns out.
Not surprising at all.
Well, no, given that Microsoft had
Quite
at least...
surprising.
Well, given that Microsoft had been out there before saying we want to make the Xbox more of a platform, we're looking at we're not ruling out the possibility of making a new iteration of the Xbox. You're right, not surprising. Given that Neo is coming, Microsoft had to respond, I guess, to or basically put something out there.
But they've
to
obviously
say-
been thinking about this for ages.
Yeah.
So this is like the exact the ultimate 360 or 180.
Yeah.
What's it? Friggin' 180 versus the original plan of the Xbox One.
Yeah,
right, isn't it?
Well, this was good. Well, yeah, it just consolidates it even further, right? The
Yeah.
Xbox One is supposed to be your one thing that you need to run your media center. Oh, except we're stepping back from TV a little bit, and we're stepping back from Kinect, and we're stepping back from this, that, and the other. We're making it a games machine again. So here's a games machine.
Which
really quite powerful games machine.
It's
6 teraflops.
Six-
Of course.
Well, this
Whatever
was-
the fuck that means, as always.
So that actually gives us some comparative values
it
that I
does.
haven't got in front of me, unfortunately.
It's pretty
but
powerful.
That's quite the jump over the Neo.
I
Yeah.
think that gives you that much information.
It's a
Well-
pretty decent PC, which makes it quite expensive. Obviously, whatever it is.
And also, here's the thing: 6 teraflops is the exact same power of the new Nvidia 1070,
Yes, the brand new card, which is the sweet
which
spot
makes
of
us think
price and
that that's the
performance.
card they're just putting in this thing
But that card costs 350 quid on its own.
on its own. But don't forget, this isn't coming out now. This is coming out a good year and a half away.
Right.
They basically said this is coming out some holiday season of 2017.
It's very odd because they're saying things like, okay, this will allow full 4K gaming.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, but don't worry, all your old games, or all games will have to be compatible with the original Xbox
They're
One.
doing the Neo thing, and the games are still going to have to support the Xbone just fine as well.
But they're saying funny things like, if you've got a 1080p TV, like a standard TV, you won't get any benefit at all. Like, games won't run better on the new one. Of course they will.
No. They've actually. They might have. I don't know where you heard that, but they've gone back and said that.
gone
Yeah,
back.
you know what? Previous games that weren't designed with this in mind, like
run
Halo
better.
5, might run it will probably run better on Scorpio. So the reason why they brought up Halo 5 is because Halo 5 does that dynamic resolution scaling thing. So it's all the time it's figuring out how it's running.
So instead they'll just run at 1080.
Because the new console would just do that, right? It would have enough power. There would never be any reason for it to render slowly, so it would just run at full 1080 all the time.
Yeah.
So they're saying that like games that utilize techniques like that will just get an immediate benefit. Was what I heard. So that I don't think there's going to be any sort of like gating in that way. Because that sounds nuts. But maybe to some degree you're right. Maybe that's one way they can mandate to say like, hey, if you're running it, the big thing about this console is that it will run at 4K. But then that flies in the face of what the devs were saying, right? All those devs were then coming out saying, no, this lets us do what we want to do on the console platform.
Yeah. It's all very weird.
It's incredibly weird.
Because at this point, like, you could just buy a 1070, stick it in your PC if you have one, and then you can play all these first-party Microsoft games.
You could in 2.5 weeks' time.
Yeah, in 2.5 weeks, but that's not a 1.5 years, is it?
No.
I mean, that's quite a big...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so Xbox is becoming a sort of platform rather than a console.
Which I think is, for Microsoft, I think that's the right play. Like, It's a little of it's a slightly extreme play, you could argue.
Yeah,
it's an extreme reaction to them going, crap, have we lost the console space?
Yeah. After capturing it so
well.
Magnificently well with the 360. Yeah.
Like this time they're coming in saying, okay, obviously they think it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so that they're having to play this full hand of, we're going to make it work on Windows, we're going to make it work on a couple of versions of the Xbox. We're potentially... I wouldn't be surprised if they let Scorpio play out for a couple of years. And yes, they made a big deal of saying, with the brilliant line, actually, just come out and say, no one gets left behind, with the words Phil Spencer used. Brilliant. That is exactly what everyone wanted to hear. The crowd went a bit wild.
But I mean, the people who
can't do that forever, right?
Already are getting left behind just by the S, let alone the Scorpio. I mean,
sort of. I mean, the HDR gaming thing is really not important.
No, you're right.
4K Blu-ray is not going to be important to a lot of people for a good few years.
You're right,
until 4K TVs become the norm, which is going to take a while. It's going to take like 4K streaming to become plausible.
Yeah,
for most people, or Sky to go 4K.
But you're still going to have the worst version of these games, whether it's PC or Scorpio.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the existing Xbone is a little bit screwed on that front, really. Which then puts... like, let's talk about like, my personal thoughts on this. This puts me in a weird spot, right? Because it's like...
Yeah.
I'm about to build a new PC. Like, when these new NVIDIA cards come out, I'm pretty much pulling the trigger as soon as that happens.
Yeah. I don't think you could lose doing that.
No. But then, when Scorpio comes out, do I bother?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you've got a while to figure it out.
Yeah,
but probably not.
The only thing I'm really benefiting from having an actual Xbox is the fact that disc copies of the game are going to have the value drop that they always do, right? I can be late to the party and save money.
But Steam does pretty well on that front.
If I go the Windows 10 route... we don't know if Microsoft are going to opt into Steam sales.
But even if they don't, they'll still have to compete on the sales front, just like Origin did.
Yeah.
Or games.
I mean, we've got like a whole 18 months for this to play out, right?
Exactly.
This whole Windows 10 thing to see how it goes.
They're not going to be able to sell PC games at full price when you can just go on Steam and buy a AAA game that's been out for a year in a sale for half price or less. That's not going to fly, is it?
No.
The summer sale starts next week.
Yeah. If the rumours are to be...
It's not like Origin's been doing that good on sales. I mean, they did their free thing, which I guess is something, but...
Yeah,
but that's the only way to get EA games on PC.
Well, yeah, but that's what, But
I'm just saying they wouldn't have sales at all if it was for Steam.
Well, maybe. I mean, they said that at some point, but then it's just like logic, maybe. It wasn't necessarily just them seeing Steam, it was maybe just logic overcame them at some point. And they were like, well, hang on a minute.
We can control this.
I don't think they'd have been shown the logic. It wasn't until Steam came along and realised that when you half the price, you make twice the money. And when you make it to a third the price, you make 3 times the money.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what their stats say, apparently, according to the sales. Anyway.
it's weirdly accurate, isn't it? But only briefly, and it's like, does that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably some arguments about, okay, does that affect the lifespan of the product sales? Does it all happen in a spike, but are we actually shooting ourselves by making the longevity of the sales
Maybe
worse?
People still buy Skyrim though, so I don't know.
Yeah. But I don't think that's true either. I think you just make your set. If someone was going to have that game, they're going to buy it, right? It doesn't matter how long you wait.
That's why people have massive Steam libraries full of games they never played that they spent money on.
I'm that guy.
They would never have spent that money, and it's a genius plan from getting people's money.
No, I'm really, really bad at that.
Yeah.
Well, your problem isn't even Steam most of the time; it's Humble Bundle.
Humble Bundle screws me every time. But then at least I don't feel so bad about gaining my library that way, because the money's mostly going to charity the way I do it. So
that's better.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. But I have got slightly less susceptible to the Steam sale over the years, because
me too.
They don't feel as good the last couple of times. The deals for stuff that I've wanted haven't been there.
Haven't been as good, yeah.
So I'm not as susceptible to that anymore. But I am still quite susceptible. But yeah, it's a weird spot. Like, does Scorpio sell? Does it solve Microsoft's problem of having a console in the living room? If the hardest of the hardcore, like us, I guess, just go PC. Surely this is great news for Zach, right? Because this means he doesn't need a console ever again.
Well, for the Microsoft side of stuff.
Well, yeah, you'd still buy Nintendo handhelds.
And maybe an NX, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I want to play Uncharted 4. God damn it.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
You're still going to need a PlayStation 4
There's no way around that.
For the Sony lineup. Yeah. And that's always going to be that way. And they can afford to be like that now, because they know they're in a position of power.
In that sense, they've won that one. That round.
But I'm still... maybe I don't buy a Scorpio, but I'm going to buy Microsoft games.
The thing is, how good is this platform stuff really going to be on PC?
Well, yeah, UWP needs to sort itself out, and they are getting there, in theory. Their whole recent move to, we've unlocked frame rates, we've supported proper syncing, like screen syncing.
But, you get a lot of benefit out of your Xbox just in terms of...
I love it as a console. Just the fact that it's there.
Browsing the interface and all the, services.
I'm the one guy who appreciates it for all the stuff it does outside of games, let alone just the games.
Because Windows 10 doesn't have as good, 10-foot UI as Xbox.
No, not really.
Nothing really... That never really happened. Do you remember... What was it? Windows Media Center?
Media Center, boy,
all the way back to XP or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't really have a good 10-foot interface. They have a good touch interface, arguably.
Well, you can to make Windows 10 work in Windows 8 start mode, if you want. You can bring full screen start back, and then it works like a tablet.
But that's not what you want on your TV, is it?
It might be. That's quite easy. That's reasonably easy to use.
I guess it's all right, but it's not as good as the Xbox Dash.
And I guess you can use Cortana on Windows 10 with voice recognition to get it to jump between apps. So you've got that functionality that the Xbox has that way.
What it's going to need is it's going to need a Steam Big Picture mode, which is basically the Xbox interface on PC.
Yeah.
At that point, then you're at parity, basically.
There's no reason why they couldn't do that.
Not really.
No.
Anyway.
Here's my secret wish list. It's not that secret because I'm about to say it, but I still think now that they've made Xbox 360 backwards compatibility possible, can we have that on PC, please?
Probably not. Emulated though, isn't it? It is emulated.
It is. That's the thing.
Maybe just port the emulator.
I think they will have a massive problem with maybe reading the discs and maybe. There'll be piracy worries and maybe licensing the games to work on PC.
That would be crazy.
It's way harder than getting people to accept backwards compatibility on the Xbone.
But I want to play Jet Set Radio Future, so...
Yeah!
And,
although I'm still holding out hope that Sega will just make a PC port of that.
Yeah, probably. Like they did with the original.
So that was the Microsoft show. The only thing I had in my notes saying this happened later was the stuff we already talked about with the S and its ports and people figuring out what it does and doesn't have. The one note about the S that we didn't cover, that I'm not sure anyone has figured out, I need to go do some more research on, is does the S even have the HDMI pass-through? Does it even work as a TV box? I think it has to.
Yeah, if it has the IR blast, you would assume that it must
that
still
it must
do
have
that.
all of that, yeah.
But no one's been able to confirm that. Not that I read, and I'm a few days out with that info before I stop looking.
Okay, that's the Microsoft press conference.
I think we need to take a break.
I think it's time for a break.
This is the point where we take a break.
So
I need more beverages and bathrooms.
Yeah, bathrooms and beverages, and we'll be back with you for Sony and...
Well, we've got Ubisoft.
Ubisoft.
What was it? Ubisoft's next, and then Sony, which is a big deal, and then the Ninty news, and then other random news from the edges.
For that stuff. So, Rob, stand up.
I know, but standing up like when I'm this desperate for a toilet is
You're going to have to stand up in order to go to the toilet.
I know, but
we will not accept you just sitting in place and doing whatever.
I'll get a bottle.
Right, we'll catch you for part 2, listeners.
Thank you all. Temporary bye.